Bill, I'm going for a record on yours tonight. Record. Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Records. You ready? Okay, I'd like to call the June 10th, 2024 Town of Rochester Planning Board regular meeting to order. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we'll do roll call. Chair Grasso is here. Member Jarvis here. Member Graham here. Member Maloney here. Member Pinsky. Member Nelson here. The alternate is Helena Dudat is here. Yes. Our secretary Jasmine Wilhelm is here. Our attorney for the planning board Dave Gordon is here. Our planner for the planning board is Dave Church. He's also here. And our engineer for the planning board Greg Gollner and his new senior engineer Christian, last name Moore. There you go. So Christian will be joining us going forward. So that's great. Thank you and welcome. Okay, we'll do a little trivia today, a quick one since we have a large agenda. In 1855, listed businesses in the town of Rochester were 4 grist mills, 4 coach and wagon shops, 1 boat builder shop, 4 blacksmith shops, 1 charcoal maker, 3 copper shops, 8 sawmills, 2 millstone makers, and 1 carding mill. All of these employed a total of 81 people in 1855. On the other hand, there were 6,638 acres of land in pasture, 9,163 acres planted in oats, rye, barley, and corn, 243 acres of potatoes, and 3,051 acres of apple orchards, of which 4 acres were also turnips and an acre of flax. That was 1855 in our town. Okay, moving on. Mr. Eggers is here from Ridgeview Realty of PB 2024-10, a minor subdivision, which is also a lot line revision at 5 Ridgeview Road for Ridgeview Realty. Bill, we are here to do a decision. There's no changes to any maps. I'm going to pass around the short form and we will get to it. You want to be the passer for me? I don't think so. 2, 4. That way. Okay, here we go. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Don't all speak at the same time. No. No? How about no or small impact? Okay. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No or small. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a CEA? No. Will the adverse action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supply or private and public wastewater treatment? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Okay, can I have a motion to declare this a negative declaration?
And I'll second that motion.
Zach and Cindy, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. I have a decision that Mr. Gordon sent to me last night. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Me. give one to Greg just in case he wants to follow along. Bill, do you want a copy of the decision? I got one coming to you. Say no, you stay there. Got one coming to you. Okay, PB 24-10, minor subdivision conditional approval, the Ridgeview Realtor LLC at 5 Ridgeview Road. This is plus or minus, I think that acreage is incorrect. Should be plus or minus 2.92 acres, is that right? I think it's 0.0.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll have a change on that, that's okay. That's why we do it. Minor subdivision approval. We go into page number 2, typical language. On page number 3, the approval and associated conditions shall be binding upon the applicant and all successive owners of the land, such as long as the uses shall occur. This approval shall remain ineffective as an authorization to secure the required permits and establish the use for a maximum 1 year from the date of approval, unless the applicant shall have submitted a written request to the planning board, shall have adopted such resolution granting an extension, and provided the applicant has submitted proof of having diligently pursued the implementation of the plans. Nothing much going on here. Anything else? Or
We just need a correction under general conditions of approval.
Yep.
Number 1.
I do, thank you. Hey, you're over 2 tonight. What's your deal? We got her on a market here. That's okay. I like using other people's stuff too. They're allowed. You are allowed. Okay, all in favor of this decision? Our motion, how about a motion first? Sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Peter, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Second, Peter Zach. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Eggers, we'll see you around 9 o'clock. How's that? Maybe 8:30, 8:45. We'll let you know. Don't go too far though.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, thank you.
See you later.
Secretary, that is for you. Okay, the next one is 2024-14 Wildland Holdings, Mr. Mike Fink and Bob James, who is sick tonight. Mike is by himself. This is a minor subdivision in an R5 zoning district, similar to the last one. All we're doing here is moving a lot line just to appease the future buyer. We've already done all of the reviews, so we will go quickly with the seeker again. Do I need to pass the seeker out? Do you guys have a copy? Can I save a tree? Okay, good. All right. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Okay. Will the proposed action result in a change in use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a CEA? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing water supplies, private or public wastewater treatment?
No.
No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, or architectural aesthetic resources? We did enough review on that, didn't we, Mike? Nope. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
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 Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
How about a motion?
I make a motion.
And I second it.
Motion to declare this a negative declaration of significance from Zach, second from Cindy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 6-0. Rick is absent. Okay, go on to the decision. Mike, I got one coming down to you, okay? Yep, I'll take them when we're done, and then we'll get them signed later in the week, and I'll get a hold of Bob to pick them up.
Great.
Okay, resolution for the town of Rochester Planning Board minor subdivision approval, Planning Board 24-14 for Wildland Holdings, Mike Fink. This is located at 64 Rock Hill Road in Accord. I don't believe that there was anything on here that we saw that was a change, except we'll change your random market again. That's okay. You're sleeping on the job on me? That's all right. You're allowed. And the effects of approval, this lot line improvement and associated conditions shall be binding upon the applicant and all successful owners of land so long as this use shall occur. This approval shall remain effective as an authorization to secure the required permits and establish the use for a maximum of 1 year from the date of approval unless the applicant shall have submitted written request, and the planning board shall have adopted such resolution granting an extension and provided the applicant has submitted proof of having diligently pursued the implementation of plans. We have everything labeled out here. The only thing I had to change on this was Liz Axelson is no longer our representative with CPL, so I'm just going to update that to Greg Walner. And otherwise, a motion to approve this resolution?
Just have to change
Sure.
around market again.
I got it.
Okay,
Yep, thank you. Anything else? Motion from someone? Emery,
I'll make a motion to approve it.
thank you. I have a motion. Second? Second from Zach. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Fink? Will we see you again? Thank you. I'll take that. We are done with these.
I think there's more than 10 now.
We'll get them all done for you. Great. Okay. Thank you for being prepared. Okay, the next one, the granary. Planning Board 2024-08. This is the granary with which is Ren Hawking and Henry Rich. A site plan approval in the hamlet at 2 Towpath Road. The representative is Alan Dumas and Mike Moriello for the applicant. A couple of housekeeping things here. Oh, yeah, good. Bring up some chairs. A couple of housekeeping items, Henry. We'll need to up the escrow. We're running out of escrow money, so if we can do another 5,000, that would be good. Just drop it off with the secretary. If there's anything outstanding, we'll obviously refund that at the end. Okay, so we'll take that because that escrow has been depleted. We still have a public hearing open tonight, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. New maps coming around. So applicants, if you guys want to speak for a few minutes, just brief Mike and Alan on Henry, however you guys want to start, on sort of what we heard from the last meeting. We've heard a great deal of comments from the neighbors in regards to a whole host of things. I'm expecting you guys have some answers as to your plans. And then we'll go back to the public and see what they have to say. And hopefully we've mitigated some of the concern. So Henry, Ren, you guys want to start it off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few things
Sure.
generally about the project and our intentions behind it.
Okay.
There's been a lot of harms, potential harms to the hamlet brought up. And just in terms of our motivation, they're very similar to the charter of ARP, which I think most of you probably know is the Hamlet of Ackford revitalization project, which was commissioned from the town board in 2016. Just want to read very briefly an article from the Bluestone Press in 2016. Once a thriving transportation hub, a combination of businesses, residences, and community institutions. In recent years, Accord's Main Street has been beset by vacant houses and abandoned business properties. The town's Historic Preservation Commission felt that something needed to be done to save the hamlet and establish the commission. The mission to restore and rejuvenate Accord's Main Street by working to identify adaptive reuses for derelict sites, to revitalize Accord's Main Street as a vital residential commercial place where residents and visitors can come together to live, work, shop, and play. Part of our idea with this site is addressing the absolute implosion of business in the town of Rochester over the past 30 years. If the census information is correct, the town of Rochester has 49 businesses as compared to 180 in Marbletown, 120 in Olive, and 75 in Worsing. 85% of people in town have to commute elsewhere for work. So this is also called out in the comprehensive plan, things that promote tourism, create jobs, and the number of times the hamlet is referenced as a potential commercial area to preserve the farm rural neighborhood town as opposed to just having this one become a bunch of subdivisions is notable.
Sure.
We believe that the historic preservation aspect, making Rochester more of a walking town, bring back jobs and bringing back more activity to the site is the point. Bringing back some life and shopping is the point of the project. We know that has created 3 concerns just in the week around water, noise, and traffic. That hasn't come up recently, but these are kind of the 3 things that have come up. Traffic is an issue that we've worked through fairly extensively with the county, planning board. Water is something that we mostly work through with the county Department of Health. And as far as noise, I just wanted to take a second to address that point specifically. So we thought about asking for the right to do special events in the way that the Crested Hen and Arrowwood does in town. And in order to, have a smoother passage of the application, not upset anybody, and not be a burden, a nuisance to the community, we decided not to do that, not ask for any special consideration around the place.
Sure.
But we couldn't just write nothing, and so we were told what to do is we should just write the code. The code is 10 decibels above ambient. We talked to the town board. They considered making the code more onerous for us. They decided that wasn't legal, so they asked us to detail how we would make sure that we would comply with the code. That's in our application, and it involves testing 10 decibels above ambient. That wasn't our idea. That is literally just the code.
Sure.
And we copied it, and it is essentially the same as asking for nothing. So that is why we chose that language. Alan can speak a little bit more to some of the engineering questions, but and as far as there have been a couple things said in meetings about our motivations behind doing this. Basically, some comments which are personal about how we're motivated by greed, profit. I think if anybody wants to take a look at the condition of the buildings, this is very much a community first thing that we're trying to do for the preservation of the buildings. Since we bought the site, 1 is in the process of falling down, 5 are still standing, 2 have already fallen down. That's not including, the derelict site at 11 Towpath, the building fell down on 5 Main Street. We very much want to be a part of the mission of this commission, which is preserving the town and bringing back some commercial life.
Great.
So if anybody wants to look up that charter, I think they said it honestly better than I said right now. And it does comply with a lot of the objectives of the comprehensive.
Okay. You want to make a small response about the comments that came in from the public at the last meeting before we get started with them, or do you want Alan or Mike to make comments?
Alan.
Okay,
Yeah,
Alan,
it's
you
fine.
want to cover some of that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
My comments are basically geared towards the written comments received from both the town planning board.
Yep.
As well as the town planning board consultancy. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just kind of run you through quickly. We had submitted a letter on the 24th of May in response to town planning board's comments in the letter of the 14th of May. Along with the letter, we also submitted some additional plans and illustrations. Kind of going through the town comments first, and I'll go through the town planning board's consultants' comments second. The first thing was that we were asked about more details on lighting plans. This has been submitted to town planning board.
So Greg, while he's pulling that up on lighting, do you want to just touch on the topic, because I know you reviewed it?
Yes, so the one thing that, in the review of the lighting plan, it doesn't fully comply with the town requirement, however, it does comply with the no light spillage off site.
Sure.
The town reference to the IESNA.
Yep.
Requires more lighting, and I think if there's no,
Right, so what they're
issue.
proposing is that they're not gonna have any light spilling on neighboring
correct,
neighboring
what they're
properties.
proposing, no
But
light
it's
spillage.
under the requirement to achieve that.
Correct.
Okay, Alan?
So basically, there was 2 sheets provided by the project sponsors, lighting consultants with Flora, lighting and Flora. The one sheet basically shows all the photometrics, including the property line, and then this area more or less shows the travel ways and parking, the same numbers.
So hang on just a second, Alan. So board, I assume, but I won't speak for any of you, that you guys are happy to see that, the lighting is not spilling over on the neighbor's property, but is also under the requirement. I am actually think that that's a great thing from the applicant, so just wanted to get the consensus of the board on that topic. It sounds like we have some heads.
Great.
Okay, great. Okay, Alan, sorry.
Sometimes that, so when you said under the requirement, meaning it's gonna be less light than it's needed.
It's less than the international
IESNA, so.
IESNA's requirement.
Right, so the town code references that it has to comply with the IESNA, which requires more lighting for paths and parking areas. And the lighting being provided is less than what is required of the IESNA, but it complies with the other part of the town code, which is to limit light spill.
Right.
But in terms of-
Hang on.
If that code, international code, provides requirement, would it affect safety if it's less?
It would mean that it would, I'm sure that is based in part on a safety.
But what the applicant is saying, Zorian, is if they have any more lighting, it's gonna be on the neighbor's property.
They're not saying that.
Yes, they are.
They're not
If-
saying
They don't have as much lighting because if they had more, it would be spilling.
that. Is that the case?
Well, that is what they're saying. and I don't know if they-
Randy, you wanna answer to that?
So our lighting consultant referenced the IESNA website, and there's a discrepancy between what you're suggesting and what he pulled on the website. You were saying 0.5 and he pulled 0.1, can't,
For the,
for agricultural E1, so.
You're not in an agriculture zone, you're in a hamlet.
Well, this doesn't give any sort of.
A zoning
there's no
regulation?
category for hamlet zoning.
I guess my question is I wanna make sure that we have this right. This is important for not only the board, the town, but the neighbors. Do we have enough lighting? This is to you, Greg. Do we have enough lighting to make sure that A, we're not spilling on the neighbor's property? The answer to that
Correct.
seems yes.
yes.
Two, we don't meet the standard, but do we have enough lighting that we're going to be able to see it?
Did you see anything specific problem points?
There were just a couple locations where they didn't have at least the 0.5 foot candles at ground level on the traveled ways. Or just one or two locations there within the site.
So Alan, do you have an answer to that? As obviously, if you had the lighting, you would be spilling. So what is our counter?
So to respond to the first thing, yes, we made sure that there was no more than 1.0 at the periphery of the property.
Great.
The property line, sorry, except for entrances, which is allowed by code, which you want to make a little better.
Of course.
As far as this sheet does show the general pathways and general parking, and you can see pretty much when you look through the parking areas and stuff like that, there's no issue meeting the number you talked about. It's probably relegated to some of the pathways, which is more or less going to be more, more lights, a bit more aesthetic.
Right, you provided that lighting plan.
Right, and then the consultant also, for lighting controls, also recommended the full fixture and all the specifications to Greg as well.
So Greg, we need basically, you're our engineer. Do you feel comfortable with the lighting plan that they provided? Granted, it's underneath our standard for the IESNA, but it's not going to be spilling over to the neighbor's property, which in my opinion, this board is probably its number one concern.
Right.
Okay.
And I would say that there is lighting, so it's not no lighting.
Sure.
It's minimal lighting and it's below the standard.
I mean, I think that the gas station on corner of Queens Highway and 209, you could see that from Kingston.
Right.
Yeah, they have too much lighting.
But we're talking about unfiltered, but is it affecting walkway or it's somewhere street lights? That's essentially my point.
It is affecting the walkway.
So maybe the walkway is not big deal, it's bigger lighting.
Right.
there.
It's not for,
It's not spilling anything.
Right.
That's what essentially I'm trying to.
Correct.
To bring.
So do you think, Zorian, that we should do more walkway lighting?
Yeah.
You agree? Okay,
It's more powerful lighting.
sure.
So I don't mean to increase.
No,
light
that's,
speed.
as long as it's not spilling,
No.
then I think that as much walkway lighting as the applicant wants, we're okay with it.
It's a very thoughtful lighting plan.
Yes.
And they kept it very minimal
Right.
for safety of patrons, maybe a little bit more lighting on the second walkways.
So Alan, what we'll do is, we're not the lighting experts, we'll let you get with your team, and just mention to them that the board wants to ensure that there's no spillage, but we can increase the walkway lighting to ensure that it is safe.
Ryan and I will get together. all
Okay.
that.
Okay, next box, check mark on the light.
The other thing I should mention on the lighting, we're moving on the next one, is there's also a landscaping plan too, which is if in fact we're meeting we're not exceeding the town code at the rate. We've also got some landscapers going to help us use it beyond for as well.
Great.
And that is not including that. One more mitigation.
Okay.
The other thing was the second comment, for the lighting with the neighbors, which we just covered.
Yep.
First two comments from the town plan board. Third comment regarding noise. Henry has already covered that. In addition to, the noise, being addressed via the town board approval and what Henry addressed, we also developed a plan that we submitted to the town planning board, which showed the two outdoor music locations.
Okay.
So it's the general, courtyard common area, and then there's a little bit of a courtyard over there. We just figured it was useful to see exactly where, the applicant was proposing to do
Okay.
outdoor music.
So noise is the elephant in the room, okay? It's not a secret. The public made it very evident that they do not want any noise. Now, noise is allowed by code, okay? So we are going to stick with our code and follow what that code is. Mr. Moriello, in your EEO decision, the conversation for the 10 decibels was, you're gonna stick that language right out of the code in the EEO. It got approved, that's great. We agree. What we would do as a condition of approval is all of the buildings, once completely constructed, operating, ready to go, we would ask that there was a ambient noise level set that was dictated by, your own consultant, reviewed by Greg and his consultant team, determining that that ambient level is set accordingly with our town code. No questions asked. Then it would be your responsibility, similar to the Crested Hen, Ford Speedway, Arrowwood, all of our other commercial event locations, that they have to submit on an annual basis at your cost, a 10 decibel, a reading of ambient noise during production, during operation, whether you have the hotel, the restaurant, the bar, whatever is going on, the bike shop. That would be done on an annual basis, submitted to the town clerk, just like all of our other applications. You would pay that bill, there would be an escrow set, wheedle away at the escrow, would be reset, similar to what we do everywhere else. That finding, that reading, would be turned in to the town clerk, as I said, and as long as that number is within 10 decibels of the ambient noise that's set, you are fine. Where the issue is that if that is outside of that purview, is the code enforcement officer and the supervisor would then have a schedule a meeting with you, say that you're in violation, and they would go through that whole violation process. So it's important for three things. One, that the town board has allowed this process to be in your EEO. Two, the planning board is going to follow what the town code is and make sure that it's done correctly. But most importantly, being a part of a good neighborhood is making sure that this is done completely, accurately, and honestly, and submitted to the town board in a timely manner. So as applicants, is there any issues on the noise? And the reason I say that is because the public has spoke. It's not a secret. We want to make sure that everybody is in the correct conformity. This is the town code. We're going to follow it. You guys need to follow it. So if that works, we will, Mr. Gordon will write up as part of our conditions of approval, the code for noise, and then you will have to follow that. So ambient noise will be set once you're done with your entire production, and then there will be a noise study that's done on an annual basis, just similar to our other.
I just want to clarify what
Yep.
we proposed, was that we would invest in a limiter that
Sure.
doesn't actually allow for noise to get above a certain level.
Okay.
Not that we would do any testing. We can switch it up, but
So I am okay with that, but the fox guarding the hen house is not, because you're dictating what that limiter is going to be, and we need to have that available to the public for them to see on an annual basis, that if anybody wants to foil it, they can say, the ambient noise is 64, it can't be higher than 74, and your compliance was 68, 72, 59, whatever it was on an annual basis. The reason I say that is we do that for Ackford Speedway and Crested Hen and Arrowwood currently, and those files are available to town clerk on demand. So we would want to make sure that we're following that same process. I think that the limiter is good because, I don't know the cost, compared, but as long as that number is submitted to the town clerk annually, that covers that. Dave?
Yeah, I'm confused a little bit. There are two requirements in the code.
Yep.
And the target is not only ten, in fact, it's not primarily ten. Ten is the absolute maximum. But it also says,
No, it can't exceed ambient noise level by 10. So they
Right.
have to dictate what ambient noise is first, and then it can't exceed 10.
yeah, but the next sentence says, any sound of 5 to 10 decibels above the ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated to the maximum extent practical, that shall be determined by the planning board doing site plan review.
Right.
So we're actually targeting 5.
Uh,
Between 5 and 10.
between 5 and 10, correct.
Well, they're above, if they get to a point, whatever reason, they're above 5, again, this is the delta at the property line.
Right.
We have to mitigate it.
Sure.
So 10 is like, 10 is just the absolute that they can't cross. If it gets above 5, we have to try to push it down.
Right,
5.
so in their EEO application, they provided a limiter, which would limit the decibels to the maximum that it can be at, so it can't even exceed that number. But if the ambient noise level is going to be higher than that, then that could change that. So we need to dictate what ambient's gonna be. That will be a condition of our approval at the sight line once the production is operational.
I'm not following. Are we shooting for 5? We may do that.
Yep.
That thing, is it for 5 or 10?
We are shooting for, the code requires that ambient is set and then they cannot exceed 10.
If they're exceeding 5, what are we doing to mitigate it?
They have the mitigation already in the EEO, which is the limiter.
Like 4.
Say again?
There's 4 items and
Yeah, you wanna read them?
to the extent these are still relevant, and
Sure.
they pull the events out, but a little one, speakers will be set up for indoor and outdoor dining upon completion of the granary site and project. 2, sound will be tested along the perimeter of site to determine which location on perimeter has the largest difference between ambient noise levels and noise levels with music on. 3, levels on the main amplifier will be tested to determine what amount of amplification raises the most sensitive point on the perimeter by 10 decibels. 4, once locations are set and levels are discovered, a sound limiter will be installed on sound system to limit overall amplification to 10 decibels or less as required by town code, with a unit such as, and it details which makeup you can use. There's also a provision that says the planning board still authorized to use the 3 mitigation measures of additional setback buffer and or fencing or reasonably limit hours of operation to attenuate or mitigate any impacts of noise. So they
limiter-
didn't, the town board didn't take away that authority of the planning board.
Right, we can still put more measures of concern.
Right.
in. But based on, I mean, my opinion is that, we follow the exact code and they've already outlined their EEO restrictions that what they're going to do. Do you think we need more?
I think if Dave read that, if he replaced the word 10 with 5, it'd be okay.
Okay.
Because, our job, assuming that we're adopting this mechanism,
Sure.
because we could have done, the type of thing that typically do in seeker, which we don't have the authority
Yep.
here, but we can have engineered it at the beginning. But if we're gonna adopt this mechanism, we have to come up with a mechanism that gets above 5 to push it down to 5.
Okay,
That's the.
I agree.
That's the requirement.
I'm fine with that. So,
Do the maximum extent practice,
Correct.
correct, yes.
not, it doesn't have to go down to 5.
Well, that's right, but my goal is that discussion not be lost. We can't just, the 10 is the absolute maximum, and that's fine, but we have the second job, and you're correct, so however that discussion plays out.
Well, this is simple. We have the EEO that authorizes the planning board to provide additional measures. We're not going to take advantage of that. We're just gonna follow the exact code, which is instead of 10, we're gonna change it to 5.
Well, okay.
Right.
that works for me.
So I'm just gonna go around the room real quick and make sure everybody's on the same page with that.
Yeah, the EEO repeats the code.
Right. I think it's
Provision A of one of the items says, all proposed uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or beyond any lot line it exceeds the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. So that's still the absolute in the EER.
So in this situation, we would want it to be 5. Based on,
Five is what we need to push it down to, or in terms of what Mike just mentioned, to explain why it's not practical to do so, which, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
That's an issue we haven't talked about.
so Emery, are you good with that?
I am.
too. Peter, Zach, Cindy, Zorian?
No, I have a comments before I proceed. I have a question that memorandum that you sent dated June 7th, 23, paragraph 8 says condition placed on approval granted. And one of them, no outdoor amplified sound. Second one, no outdoor music. So what happened to that memorandum
That was changed during the deck process.
later?
Yeah, there was a discussion by the board at first, no amplified sound at all. Then the developers said we would like to have some kind of small amount of, background.
Right. In general, I opposing outdoor music based on experience with it right now, and also on my. If you.
So you're
if the
saying,
board- If the board does decide to allow outdoor music, I also want to make comments. This area, if getting closer to the border, maybe this area should be eliminated to play music. One. And my main comments about ambient. Why the ambient study cannot conduct it now? Because all we're interested ambient right now, not after some construction. What is the problem to do it now, document it, but attach it to the decision, and then later, everybody would compare what was the ambient.
but the buildings aren't built yet.
Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. What I mean, how? You go, like it done everywhere else, you go to board of the property, you measure ambient there, you document it, and then you compare, later on, you compare what is the borderline, what is measurement is.
If we could refer to the landscape site plan, you can see that there is a tremendous amount of landscaping buffering that we're going to provide on the perimeter of the property.
Buildings aren't built, the landscaping isn't designed.
No,
The buildings are
that, it has nothing to
insulated.
do with the landscape. You have a border of the property. You install measurement equipment, you report ambient temperatures there, and that's it, doesn't matter, you have a landscape, you don't have a landscape.
All right, so board,
All people who live in around, they're concerned ambient now.
If I can, if this project isn't built for another 2 or 3 years, that has no relevance.
I agree,
The
yeah.
time.
The ambient needs to be done at the time.
Yeah,
All other projects that we do, the buildings are set.
Pre-existing.
Ways are already there, everything's pre-existing. These buildings are empty shell, not insulated, no
When,
windows, no doors.
Arrowwood didn't have a building yet, when they're presenting the application, they did ambient measurements, and they were modeling actually measurements, what would be, what maximum would be at the stage versus what on the borderline. So I don't see any reason why don't conduct ambient now, because people living now, it's ambient. Whatever gonna happen in 2 years, 3 years, it's, they concerned about ambient now.
So I asked this question.
Okay.
The property on Granite Road on the left, as you're going down Granite Road across from Town Hall, there's about 80 acres there. Okay, it's vacant land. It's been vacant forever. If that was a housing development, would that change ambient noise today? No, I'm asking, yes or no? So that is going to dictate the change of this process. As Mr. Morello said, in 2 years, you could have, Mr. Martin could sell his house and it could be a house for, there could be 5 different people living there. That's gonna change ambient, or the house across the street.
Yeah, then I.
The cemetery could have more traction, more action. There could be things going on in the town. The post office could change into another item. Does it mean that we need to have a new ambient noise study? I don't know, I'm asking.
It would mean they would have to have another.
Then I said
Right.
yes, applicant to apply for outdoor events at that time with the construction is done, and then measure ambient that time. So it's a separate item for permit.
Okay. Board, how do you guys feel? I'll leave it up to you guys how you want to move forward. The question at hand is, do we want an ambient noise study? prior to construction or after construction? I don't,
I would say after construction, because I think that the buildings are, they are empty, they are shells. There's zero landscaping, landscaping even though it's landscaping, has a tremendous amount of effect on, you did it in the summer as opposed to doing it in the winter, the state plants, stuff like that, so.
Emery?
I feel the same, but I understand what Torian's saying.
Sure.
But
Oh, I get it too.
there's no one on the land, even if they were using the property right now and people were walking around, it would change the ambient noise. So you have to have the buildings there, Torian. You have to.
Cindy?
I understand what you're
It has
saying.
nothing to do with the landscaping, sorry, people. Landscaping is inside, landscaping is not outside. It's inside.
So Zorian, I don't think anybody is.
Ambient is the quarter of
I disagree. I think that landscaping has a tremendous effect.
effect on, yes.
Let me finish. It has a tremendous effect on how sound travels. If it's inside the complex or on the border, it both has an effect.
But landscaping even improves it.
Yes,
But
and if you
right,
do-
but we're talking about on the borderline. We're not talking about inside of the.
I understand that, but if you're measuring the sound at the borderline, the amplification, any speakers or whatever that are
It's gonna
inside
travel through
have to
landscape.
travel through landscaping to get there.
Exactly. And if you do a
But
study,
when we conduct ambient measurements, there are no speakers. There is what is not there now.
Understood.
So what it has to, what
because it will affect with the buffers.
it will affect if you have a source of the noise on the property.
Okay, Cindy, you have time.
But I understand your position, guys.
Without obstructions in place, i.e. landscaping, any reading that was taken now would basically be useless money spent because the sound is going to travel differently once all the plantings are in place and the buildings have windows and insulation and are substantially complete.
But the person who lives next to the property right now, they have an ambient noise. Whatever is gonna be built there, it's irrelevant. They don't want the noise to be higher than certain level. If you have after the landscaping construction, all right, so it will mitigate something, but they concerned about ambient now. They don't want to change their life, what is now, not gonna be in 2 years. Or after building is built, or after landscaping is done, I understand sorry.
Zach?
I think that we don't need to conduct an ambient noise study right now. I think it's something that can be done when the property is complete.
Okay, we've discussed noise. I think we've put that to bed. Do we want to vote on noise and then move on from this topic? Is that what we want to do? Okay, so, Mr. Church, I think that you should read the EEO code that is approved from the EEO and then change the word from 10 to 5 and we will vote on it. Now, please.
So page, so it's number 74C from the EEO resolution of approval from last year by the town board. The town board encourages the planning board in site plan review to review the potential noise impacts according to standards of 140-20F1, stating, quote, the planning board may, as a condition of site plan review and approval, require additional setbacks, buffers, and fencing, or reasonably limited hours of operation to attenuate or mitigate any potential noise impact of any proposed use. And I've got to find the other section that's, let's see, sorry. Where was it?
74C EEO, I think. EEO,
I just read 74C.
it's 140 dash. We could take it right out of the code.
Oh, here I
So
got
it's
it.
140-20.
20.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All proposed new land uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or above any lot line that exceeds the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. NEC, you want that to be 5 now?
Yep.
Okay,
No, that,
this is the code.
yeah, that's still, that's 10. What's 5 is if it exceeds 5, the planning board has to be, the site plan has some provisions that
Right.
mitigate it down, down
That's
to
the-
5. or
The second sentence.
That's the next one. Any
Right there.
sound of 5 to 10 decibels above the ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated to the maximum degree practical.
As shall be determined by the
As
planning
com-
board during site plan review.
Planning board may, as a condition of approval, review and approval, require additional setback, buffer, and fencing, or reasonably limit hours of operation to attenuate or mitigate potential noise impacts.
Thank you. So I think, so we need a motion on the floor to, adjust to increase the EEO approval from the town. The town authorized for 120-F, the noise code. We are going to put additional measures on top of that. Their allowance is up to 10 with mitigation from 5 to 10. We want up to 5.
No, I just want the same thing. In other words, 10 is not the only thing. If it gets above 5, our job is to mitigate it down to 5 to the extent practical. So, if 5 becomes, 10 is an absolute maximum, but 5 becomes a target.
Right. The town,
But at the same
the
time.
town EEO resolution only references the
Town code, up to 10.
It does not reference between 5 and 10.
Let me
So
pull that may have, you have to figure out then if that one ended this. It also said, but it said.
It said we have the ability.
But it says, but it reserves the planning board's authority
Okay.
to use that section 140-20.
So personally,
It encourages us.
Correct.
Personally, I'll give my opinion. I think that the town code gives up to 10. I only want to give up to 5. That's my mitigating factor, and I think that all the neighbors would be very happy.
I agree with you.
You agree with that?
Look, the neighbors aren't gonna be happy, the neighbors that are against it are not gonna be happy with 5, they're not gonna be happy, they wouldn't be happy with 2. So my suggestion is that we be treated the same as every other applicant in this town. We can't apply a different standard to my client as opposed to the other.
Well, I disagree because right now, the town code gives 140-20F up to 10 with a mitigating factor from 5 to 10. Instead,
To the maximum extent.
to the max. I'd like to do up to 5, but to the maximum extent practical.
How is that possible? It's not what your law doesn't say.
But we have the ability to
You have the law.
fences, buffers, landscaping, all those additional
A
things.
reasonable condition.
Would you-
That's not a reasonable condition.
So I ask you this, Mr. Morello, would you rather us limit the heck out of the fences and the buffers and all the restrictions to appease the neighbors, or would you rather just stick with 5?
Well, I mean, I think voluntarily they put fences, they put a ton of landscaping on this piece of property. I mean, it's not that they haven't done that already. This has been a continual process. And the reason that one of the reasons I submitted that memorandum dated 1 year ago, almost to the
Yep.
day, is that we're still here.
Understand.
About this payment.
No, and we want to follow the town code as best as we possibly can. The issue is that this project is so dense in size with so many neighbors surrounding it in such small parameters in distance that it could negatively adversely affect an array of people very quickly. So the planning board's job is to make sure that is either mitigated, restricted. We have the option to, if you would rather us, we have the option to adjust hours of operations, add more fences, add more landscaping, add more buffers. We can go that route if you'd like. I think, and I'm speaking for myself. I think that based on the board's conversation, this appeases everyone's concern regarding noise.
I can't, I'm not the final word with my clients, they are.
Ren?
It's fine, we have so much landscaping that 5 will, these are just Sonos speakers.
Right.
Small.
Right. I guess I'm not worried about you guys because I feel.
Change from the,
Right.
I just wanna make sure we're not.
No, we have the ability to restrict at a higher level, so that's not gonna change the EO. I guess my concern is that there's so many variables with density and neighbors and locale of where you are that in my opinion, being a little extra cautious on the noise, as you guys have agreed. It's not amplified noise, it's just outdoor ambient music, it's just going to appease the customers and provide that, that background noise that everybody is looking for, and I think that's perfect. I think that this solves an array of problems, which is, we don't need to restrict your hours of operations. We don't need to add more buffers. We don't need more fences. I anticipate if this happens to go through, that a lot of your neighbors are gonna be very, very happy. I assume. I think that like I said in the beginning of the meeting, the elephant in the room is the noise. I think that this is the best mitigating factor that we could possibly do. And I think that it's worth the option. But I think at this point, we need to vote. I think that's where we're at. Alan?
It would help at all also.
Sure. Yep.
You kind of see it, you look around the site, the first landscape plan done by the landscape architect, only of the lighting, so before lighting design. It shows, the front side, other side, there is extensive landscaping. The landscaping will only improve the reduction in sound being produced off site as it gets more mature as well.
Of course.
But you kind of see it just surrounds the bulk of the site.
Right. The other concern about landscaping, and I'm an over landscaper myself, so I would agree with you. The issue that in the town code with landscaping is that there's a bond that has to be set. Those trees or plants have to last a certain amount of time, replaced if they die. So there's just a lot of looks that could potentially go wrong with landscaping, and for some reason that could fall through the cracks where there wasn't necessarily an opportunity for landscaping to be re-inspected. So I think, and applicants, tell me if I'm wrong, I want to hear from you. I think this is the best mitigating factor for the protection of the property, the neighborhood, and the town board, which is to make sure that what you're doing is going to be applicable for all neighbors and property owners.
Yeah, I think it's fine. The reason that I started out with
Of course.
the park is because the reason this was started by Friends of Historic Rochester is because they believed that the history of the town is a rural community with a thriving hamlet.
Sure.
And all of the uses that they proposed, it wasn't like a silent meditation center, like whatever it is, whether it's us or somebody else,
Of course.
it's going to be something more than it is today. It's going to be closer to what it was, which was many dozens of people working on the site. There was a mind behind it, and
Sure.
it's not going to become that. But the point is to bring activity, revitalization to Main Street. So it's going to be more than it is right now. And we just want to be very transparent that that's the intention, that's the hope.
I agree. I do agree. Okay, board, can we put the noise to bed and vote on this? Zoran, you're okay with up to 5? 5 is the cap. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjust 120-F for this application to make the verbiage read. All proposed new land uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or beyond any lot line that exceeds the ambient noise level by 5 or more decibels. Any sound up to 5 decibels above the ambient noise shall be attenuated or mitigated to the maximum degree practical, period. Second?
Second.
Emery, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Noise? I don't want to hear about it again. Moving on.
And, ambient.
And the ambient, yes, thank you. The ambient noise study will be completed at the completion of the project. We should make a vote on that too.
I make a motion to complete the ambient noise study at the end of the project.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? No. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes 5-1. Okay, Alan.
Okay, and then the last of the planning board comments, I'll move on to CPL's comments.
Thank you.
There was a question regarding hours of operation, we should respond.
Please, yes, can you put that to bed?
It's 24/7, retail is 8 to 7, 8 AM to 7 PM, and food service is 8 AM to 11 PM.
Okay, hang on. 8 to 7 is
Retail,
retail,
food service is 8 AM to 11 PM,
8 to 11, great.
and then the end is 24/7.
The end is 24/7, perfect. That is what was on the original EEO application. There was somehow a clerical change in our application. We're done, moving on.
Okay.
As long as it matches the EEO, you don't have to go back to the town board.
The second letter that we responded to was the comments from Greg, from the CTO, letter dated the 21st, we responded on the 24th. Down, a copy of that, there's a copy of that. There's a half dozen things here. First thing was On the parking, CPL agreed with our response. It was, the way it was approved by the town board. The reason we went with the 1 per 3, it's a commonly accepted practice. And at this point in the project, interior architectural is still under design. And then there's field changes during construction. It's more or less, we found this 1 per 3 to work, and that was.
So let's talk about parking a second. In the EEO approval, the parking requires that there's 6 parking places to be utilized at an outside off-site parking spot. Since that conversation, there has been a change. Is that correct, Alan?
I was thinking of that last in mind.
Nope, let's do it now. Let's put that to bed now. Yep.
Not a problem.
So based on what I understand, you have reduced the size of your application, which will now not require 6 extra parking spots. Is that correct?
So there was a letter issued on the 23rd to the planning board from the project architect, Dutton Architecture, Scott Dutton. And I can speak to this as well. And basically what they have elected to do was that there would be 2 reductions in the program.
Yep.
To basically accommodate not asking for 6 additional spots. So the coal barn, which was actually talking about. Coal barn, which is right here, that will not be developed for gallery space. That reduces 4 parking spots. And then the co-working space, which is upstairs here, will be reduced from 1,881 square feet to 1,460 square feet. Therefore, moving 2 parking spots.
Oh.
4 plus the 2 is 6.
You are really making neighbors happy today. This is a good thing. So now you've reduced your size. Now you don't need the external parking. You don't have to deal with the town board or a neighboring parcel. Keep going. You're on a hot streak.
So that addresses the parking.
Yep.
Comment, okay, CPL comment number 2.
Thank you.
Was a driveway slope. The code does speak about a negative pitch here. Unfortunately, due to the roadway elevation, site elevation, doing it to the extent that's suggested in the code is not feasible. So what we've elected to do instead, this was covered in the response, and we provided a illustration with our response before Memorial Day that basically instead of pitching doing a negative slope here, we would pitch it this way.
Okay.
So on that illustration, which we call rear entrance inset, it basically shows here is your area. We do a blow up here. It shows the grading, and the drainage goes this way. So any drainage more or less hitting this road as opposed to going out into the street.
Yep.
Will go that way.
Great.
That then is further assisted by, if you look down this area of the inset, this grade generally goes this way. So in addition to this more or less going off in this grass area, it will travel this way as well.
Okay. You're on a heater right now.
Okay. That was CPL comment number 2 on driveway slope. CPL comment number 3.
Yep.
On the parking slope, we put this in response. This lot ranges from 2 to 4%, more or less. This lot ranges, and this one is about 4% coming this way. So this is like 2 to 4% this way, and this is like 4% coming down from Hillcrest Road. So we addressed comment number 3 by referencing the parking slopes.
Okay.
Question came with the accessible spots. You take a look at the second inset that I provided, which shows
Yeah, thank you.
A and B. It's called the accessible parking inset illustration, I call it. We show the 4 spots in front of the granary building, which would be on your left. This one here, it basically shows the accessible spot at the level. And then over here, in this area is generally similar. Over here, it covers like just explained on the other slope aspect, that the 2 spots are level in the general area beyond, which is the north now.
Yep.
So
Thank
that
you.
should address CCL comment number
4.
4. Demarcation on parking, we had addressed that in the earlier submission.
Yeah, so I have a question on this too, and I'm glad Greg picked it up, because if you're going to have like a gravel type surface, how are you going to outline those parking spots?
So if you go to page 5, which is on the prior submission, And the recent submission, the lower right-hand corner on the detail sheet.
Okay.
Treated parking lot cups, they're plastic cups, they would be basically anchored below the gravel and sort of piece of plastic. Looks like a
Surface.
plastic clump of grass. We basically, that would be exposed along the length of each part of the
Okay.
spot. The closest example I can think of where I've seen this done in the past, is the Wellington Village Spring Park parking lot.
Okay.
Where I've seen it in use, and I haven't been there lately, but, you know, a few other projects as well. But it's something that it addresses the issue of trying to reach the line.
Well, that's what I was hoping you were saying. So this is good.
They're going to destroy heavy rains, it would destroy basically their plowing. Obviously, if there's damage, it's gotta be fixed.
Okay.
So that's covered on page 5.
Okay, I'm good with that. Greg, does that satisfy yours?
That's fine, as long as it cleared it, there wouldn't be.
Yeah, I agree. Because the painting every other week is not great.
And I just ran into it the other day on another client's project where I hadn't specified, they went ahead and did
Good.
more detail.
Okay, great.
So I was pleasantly surprised when I had to stop for their parking.
That's good. Number 6?
Number 6 is the, question came up on the employee spots over here. In this area, we understand that the spots more or less, one spot backs to another spot.
Right.
I see this happen rarely though on, projects where if it's for employees, it works. Basically, as Ren and I discussed, employees be communicated, one employee starts blocking another car, they have to move, whether it's a text, a call, you know, tapping on the shoulders, it's like, I gotta leave.
Do you think the option in number 4 and number 5, that how you delineated that is an option for number 6?
We can use the tops over here too.
Greg, would that would satisfy
This
me?
is just their back to back, their shotgun parking, so.
But I guess if it was a spot that was delineated, would that solve the problem? You would still have a moving issue?
Well, right, but it is employees only, it's more or less.
The moving edge would still be communication amongst employees.
Right.
But it would better identify it so you don't have someone basically pulling halfway into the spot.
That's what I was getting at, right?
But I wanted to mention, was remember how this original.
Yes.
We had access here and access here.
Right.
To basically simplify the layout, to make it easier for basically.
And reduce a curb cut.
And reduce curb work. We brought everything at this point.
No, I think it's a good plan. I just think that the Tufts would confirm that people are in a spot, not in I have a spot and a half.
So for instance, if I go back to page 5, the Tufts basically show up between the spots.
Okay.
Going along the length of the spot. Obviously, if you were to do the shotgun spots as Greg told them, you would basically do a couple here, so it basically shows like a bridge.
I'm okay with that. I think that satisfies the problem.
It's more or less that we're specifically just referencing town code applies to parallel or spots that are next to each other. These are
Jason.
parallel and just want to make sure the planning board doesn't have an issue with that.
I think that the compromise to get rid of a curb cut was definitely more of a priority than the shotgun spot. So I'm okay with it. Because I don't want another curb cut. I don't.
I'm fine with the shotgun
Yeah.
spots.
Okay. Everybody else good with it? It seems to be okay. Okay, moving on, Alan. We're okay there.
Okay, so I think that was comment, that was comment number 6 on CPL's comments. Comment number 7, there was an issue over here where this walking path was obstructed by this last car stop and moving over.
Okay.
And that's reflected all over.
We talked briefly about, I believe on this application, about EV parking, electric car parking. Applicants, do you have any proposal for that?
None.
Okay, if so, you would take one of the current existing spots, designated an EV spot, and, okay, perfect. Okay, just making sure.
So we didn't
Well,
have-
if I may.
Yep.
The solution that the county has pitched is that the utilities are in place to install an EV station if necessary.
I mean, I don't,
Plan ahead to have electric utility
I don't think
in
it's,
proximity of a.
I mean, I don't want to make it a condition of approval, but I'm just thinking in the future, if they were going to do it, would they be designated one spot or two to an EV parking only?
Right.
If they wanted to run the
But if you're running conduit already, just run enough for like a level 2 charging station.
that'll save you from digging it up later.
And a couple spaces.
Right.
And a place that makes sense for them.
I don't,
actually put in the charge.
right, I don't wanna put it as a condition of approval, because it's, if you have the ability to do it, like at a gas station, we would make that a condition of approval, as we have done in the past. For your place of business, that we're not gonna do that, but I want you to think about it forward thinking. You know, you're digging up that site, if you're gonna do it, the last thing you wanna do is dig up all that landscape you're gonna put in after do it. So just something to think. Okay, Alan, you're on a heater, keep going.
Okay, the next thing is, there was a regulatory comment about
Yes,
DOH approval.
let's talk about water. About well water, right?
I'll get to that.
Okay, go ahead.
So, basically, the way the DOH approval works is, you know, we petition the DOH, we submitted plans, reviewed, commented on, we resubmitted. We got them approved in conservations and their safety speedy permit for groundwater discharge. We supplied the town planning board with a copy of the approved plans. But then what we did also in response to most recent comment, we gave them we gave you a copy of the permit construction.
Right, so for the public, the conversation about well and septic was a large topic of conversation at the last meeting. The applicant has received the permit from the Ulster County Department of Health for both the well and the septic. That checks the box on our local level that the Ulster County Department of Health is satisfied with what's been provided. Okay.
So they've agreed to the well locations, as a condition of the approval. It's as you've heard my previous presentations, it's a 10 NYCRR subpart 5-1 public water system. They're required by code to submit plans for approval of that because it's regulated public water supply, which covers disinfection in this case, which is typically what you're dealing with, any other treatment required. So basically, wells have been evaluated, plans are underway with the DOH to address that part of the air condition.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we move on to CPL comments regarding lighting.
We've already talked about lighting.
So most of those comments were just acknowledged and then provided additional information.
Yep.
Since then, which includes the makes, models, layouts, and photometrics.
Yep, we're gonna ask that you, as we discussed already, that you go back to the lighting team and add more ground lighting to ensure that the safety is not disabled for any reason, and bring us that back at the final review for when we sign maps, just to make sure that ground lighting for walking is satisfied.
And what we can do is, what we'll try to do in the last submission is, since there's multiple consultants on the project, we try to make it so it's basically everything bound together in one electronic copy, one paper copy.
Greg would appreciate
It covers our work, it covers Orioles work, and it covers aspect of Tony's work as well.
Okay, thank you. So Greg, based on that conversation, it sounds like everything's checked off on your side with the outstanding item of the lighting, which they're going to change. Is there anything else that you are missing? I feel good if you do.
We're good.
Okay, so engineering is good. Dave.
Just on the parking, I think you have, you either now or at the final resolution need to
Approve the short.
approve the reduction of the parking required.
Correct.
Which you could do now if you want.
Yeah, so that's a good topic of conversation. So now that
On this discussion, the shot.
Yeah.
Only parking.
now that the applicant
Code based, right?
Right. Now that the applicant has reduced the amount of parking because they reduced their footprint, they fall short of the requirement for the town for parking by code. The EO has already been approved based on that conversation, so at this point, we need to do the same thing. Does anybody have any concerns about park? I think that it's great of what they did and really solves a lot of problems with neighbors and concerns for parking on where they shouldn't be. So I'll start with Zorian on parking.
On the additional parking, yeah, I agree with you, because I was questioning as a post office parking.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, so it's out of question. But I still have a couple of comments.
On parking?
Yeah, like your signage for parking.
Okay.
You'll have to revise it because you don't have additional parking anymore.
Yep, we need to reduce that signage.
And also, the better the parking related sign installed at the beginning of the driveway, because essentially the driveway leads only to two handicap parking, right? It's not a parking. So why would somebody drive here and discover that there's no parking? Put all your signs right at the entrance and basically pointing out the whole parking is there, except handicap.
We were also looking at as a pickup drop-off location where since it's a loop coming in and going out.
Right, but then the parking there.
But they
They'd be
could.
Dropping off, and then they'd be dropping off and then going to the other parking lot, unless of course, they were usually accessible parking.
Right, we talked about that at the first meeting, where they would have that turnaround, that loop where they could have 2 parking spots there, rather than having to use the other parking.
Okay.
Okay.
Another comment I have about ADA.
Yeah.
It's unclear for me, if a person on wheelchair, how they gonna manage a ride wheelchair on wood chips? Walkway, even if you compact wood chip, you cannot you cannot ride on a wheelchair on a wood chip. It's difficult. So.
If you're at
The
the
code enforcement officer
right, the code
can
enforcement
confirm that it's ADA compliant.
has to meet ADA
With
compliance.
details, all the issues.
On page 5 of our plans, we did, a packet item board detail.
Yep.
Which we use in other sites where totally correct comment regarding the wood chips that they remove. So our plan is basically do a compacted item board surface. So if you go to page 5, it specifically says acceptable parking. They tap from the acceptable parking to its respective buildings.
Will be
That's fine.
compacted
Will be
item.
compacted item. Right, now, as with any other site work, whether it be lawn maintenance, gravel parking lot maintenance, asphalt maintenance, if for some reason it starts getting worn, it'd be up to the project sponsor to basically add impact.
Sure.
It's pretty straightforward item.
And that's
Or-
common every other year?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're gonna be coming, adding some more wheelbarrows of item 4, and then hitting it with a whacker type tamp.
Yep. Okay, good.
So it was covered on.
Thank you.
Okay, good on parking otherwise, so we need a motion to accept, Alan?
So what we'll do is we will basically show on our plans.
Yep.
For your comment, we will eliminate the parking directions.
The additional parking.
Together. And then we'll also reduce the note that says additional 6 spots.
Sure.
You know, we can make
So
that change.
how many total parking spots are we down to with the 6 eliminated?
So if we flip to the drawing. It will be page whatever it is.
I think it's page 4. 4, 2?
We're doing 57 spaces on site, 6 off site, so we're basically good at 57.
So we're down at a total of 57. Okay.
57.
So I need a motion from someone on the board to accept the plan as presented to adopt 57 parking spaces with the additional 6 from the original EEO to not to be utilized anymore.
I make that motion.
Okay, second, Zach and Zorian, do you have all that? Yes, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, parking is now put to bed. We are really getting somewhere. Okay. Alan, anything else? I think you're all set. Greg, I think you're all set. Dave, I think you're all set. Okay, public, you guys have waited long enough. Sorry that it has taken this long. I'll go over the brief rules for our public comment, and then we will open the public comment and see where we go from here. So as we open the public hearing, we are a couple of items for the public to be aware of and recognize. The public hearing is for the public to express their knowledge and or input about this specific project. The board will grant public comment to community members who have signed up on the clipboard at the table located at the entrance of the community center. Community members who have signed up will be granted between 3 and 5 minutes per person to speak. This opportunity is not a question and answer from the applicant or the board, yet the opportunity for you to speak to the board directly about the application and knowledge of the property that you may have. Comments should be related towards the health, safety, and welfare, towards the town of Rochester, and this project in discussion. I'd like to iterate for the record that the applicants have complied with not only the EEO, but the planning board's request to discuss parking, hours of operation, water and septic, noise, and lighting in tonight's meeting. Okay, Mr. Martin from 18 Towpath, sir. I need a drink.
Board, I hope that you will keep one overlying and far-reaching concern in your mind as you hear from our friends and neighbors. And by the way, good evening, friends and neighbors, board and antagonists.
I hope that you will keep in mind one thing that this is going to do for the town. We've heard a bunch of things about what it's going to do to the town, or what it's going to do for the town. Because if we consider additional traffic, vehicular noise, pedestrian traffic, we certainly might want to have a lower speed limit on Main Street. We all know that it's worth your life sometimes to try to back out of the post office with the current traffic problem that we have, which is minimal compared to what we could have. So I think that's very, very important. One of the things that I would like the board to consider, because it has not been mentioned tonight, is whether or not there's going to be a water storage tank, or is it going to be a constant draw on the well? I think that's a very important thing to consider. We heard a lot of warm and fuzzy things earlier. I don't know what's philanthropic or altruistic, but it's still all about the money. Let's remember that. Because it's about the money, it's going to be at an expense of the neighbors who surround the property and are adjacent to the property. The expense comes in many ways. Those who are adjacent to the property are going to have a substantial loss in the valuation of their property. Nobody's going to say, whoopee, I want to buy your property because there's a bar and restaurant next door. Nobody's going to want to buy our property because there's a sound level that's 5 decibels. This is going to have an impact, and expense and cost comes in many ways. We'll see how it goes. Lifestyle is an intangible for which you can place no dollar value. We enjoy the quiet right now. I hope you'll be enjoying that in the future. One of the nice things about Ackroyd was it is what it is. We've had very little traffic by comparison to what we could have. We've had little pedestrian traffic compared to what we could have. We've had no traffic jams compared to what we could have. And on multiple occasions, I have been leaving my driveway, going to Route 209, and there have been at least 4 people who have failed to stop at the end of Scenic Road where it intersects with Main Street and Ackroyd. 4 near collisions, and that's important. Safety and welfare are paramount here in what we're talking about with respect to development. I'm certainly hoping that this music situation is put to bed. I am concerned to the point where I was going to say no compromise, because what we're talking about here, folks, is 24/7. Unless the applicants have changed, it's supposed to be music every single night of the week, 365 days a year, with no respite whatsoever. That could end up being a little much. I don't know. If people need music while they're dining, maybe they should see their caregiver and get their intestinal tract checked out. So, we've heard a lot about hospitality. We don't know what kind of clients are going to be here, but I've had the good fortune to be some rather posh hotels in the Caribbean, in Guatemala, in Panama, and sometimes those people there were not very hospitable at the hospitality centers. So we want to make sure that they behave themselves, because that too could be an intrusion on our lifestyle. So I'm just hoping that the board will keep in mind really the words of Mark Twain and remember them. He said, do the right thing. It will gratify some people and astonish the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Susan Sprackman.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually don't live in Ackroyd. I live in Cripple Bush, sort of across the road from Ackroyd. Every Friday night, though, I'm part of Ackroyd because I do the Speedway, but I'm not here to talk about that. I have known Henry for over 30 years. He and my son have been friends since 4th grade. They grew up together. We moved up here. My son moved up here. Henry saw the area. It was a nice area. He bought a house here. He started looking around to think, how can I arrange my life so that I can live up here full time? He moved his father up here. I think, you know, a lot of people are questioning Henry's motivation in doing this, and it's legitimate to question that kind of thing. I think it's important to keep in mind that there are probably a lot of other development projects that Henry would do that would make a lot of money a lot faster and a lot easier. When Henry was a lot younger, he lived in Brooklyn and decided that the area he lived in was a food desert. There was no place where people could go and grab a cup of coffee, have a lunch with friends, that kind of thing. And everybody thought he was crazy, but he developed a restaurant that is still going and is very popular and provided that to the community. This is the same kind of thinking that led him to develop the Atwood Market. You know, he saw there was no place where people could go and just grab some food. Now the market has a lot of small producers who are bringing food in and giving them a venue for selling their food and a place where people can congregate. I think that Henry has thought of the granary project in the same way as something that could benefit the community. Of course, there are going to be problems. I mean, I live on County Route 2, crossing the street from where my house is to where I park my car. You know, it's insane. You know, things are like that. But I think Henry and his partners, as you can hear today, are doing everything they can to mitigate the impact on the community. And I wish that Henry would decide to build up his local town. They rocked that house, it's standing there derelict in High Hall. That's my community.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Okay, Becky Collins,
July.
she left, okay. Alana,
So I will just come up a couple of things that brings, Mrs. Franklin, I will argue that doing anything you can, not having any outdoor animals. I would like to thank Mr. Kinski for his comments at the public hearing, public comment period, at the town board last Thursday. He's speaking about his personal experience, contending with this plague on our town with outdoor amplified music. I do not understand what the entitlement is in order to run a business that can be completely, all the functions and programs and offerings that they want to do, which we aren't arguing, can be accommodated indoors. So I would like to go off on what Jay just said. That's it.
okay. Mr. Roberts? Go ahead, no, go ahead.
I am also a little perplexed as to why you guys voted on a bunch of things on this application without hearing public comments for open.
Okay. Mr. Roberts?
Hey, I'm just gonna hand this out, this is a couple, graphs. So I'll get that into the.
Right, go ahead. Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Share, sorry. That's actually. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I really appreciate the time that you give to this process and I do appreciate that opportunity to speak. I've stated previously that I'm in support of the redevelopment of the site known as the Greenway. I'm concerned about the scope of the project that far exceeds the size and the character of the site, and that the application itself is lacking, imprecise and erroneous in the information. My comments are not intended to be directed at the applicants per se, but at the need for restrictions to be placed on the forever use of this important site. Most of my comments are in response to the master plan and documents submitted by the applicant's engineers that mentioned. First of all, regarding procedure. The planning board's specific skills and knowledge is a necessary part of the review of this proposal, which is separate and supplementary to the town board's process.
Therefore, it is incumbent upon the planning board to do a full and thorough review of all aspects of this application. I raise this issue because in their letter dated May 24th, Brinier and Larius again posit that regarding outdoor amplified noise, this has been addressed by the town board's zoning designation. In that letter, they omit to reference section 74 from the same document that states, town board encourages the planning board and site review to review the potential noise aspects. This has already been quoted, but I'll say it again. The planning board may, as a condition of site plan review and approval, require additional setbacks, buffers, and fencing, or reasonably limit the hours of operation to attenuate or mitigate any potential noise impact of any proposed use. So, noise and its impact on the community is up for discussion, and the restrictions are open to change in this forum per the town board's direction. So can we please stop litigating this issue? I don't understand why the applicant is trying to shut down conversation. This is what community involvement is. I believe that our community has made comments and the project is better for that. And also better for the planning board's input and time. It will end up with a better result for everybody. I also follow up on Alana's comment that I want to point out that the planning board and voting on items of public hearing is still open, which is entirely regarding noise. Imagine for a moment that you have new neighbours. They move in, the first night they had 75 people over, play amplified music outside. Then they do it the next night, the following night, and every night until you go and have a neighbour tell. And they say, oh no, we're going to do this every day and night of the year. Weekends, weekdays, Memorial Day, Christmas Day, and so on. And that's what we're up against. There's a perverse entitlement when it's wrapped in a narrative and wanting to contribute to the community, be a part of it. This is a campus-style hospitality development. The buildings are spread out and separate from one. In this style of development, there is a desire to create a total resort atmosphere. That often means turning on music to create an immersive experience. In many meetings regarding this development, there's been an honest endeavour by board members, both at the planning and town board level, to try and define what might be reasonably expected. Here's an example. There's a feeling that outdoor music won't be an issue in winter. Now, on a trip to Arrowwood in winter, Alana and I went to dinner. It's about 20 degrees outside. And as we walk up to the door, no one's sitting outside, of course, very cold, blaring music. As we leave at 9:30 at night, in the middle of winter, no one's sitting outside. No one's going to be sitting outside for a few months, blaring music.
Mr. Roberts, I'm going to redirect you to this application, not the other one, please.
So this is an example.
Understood.
And the reason I'm saying this is that it's there to create a vibe. And unless you put reasonable restrictions on, you can't imagine what the use is going to be. Unless we put restrictions on, it's going to be abused. And that's why it's so important. Not to imagine what might be, but think about the worst case. This is especially important because of the widespread community dissatisfaction with noise generated and not policed at many recent developments within the town, and the combined effect these are having on the residents' quality of life. We have a clear precedent in the town relating to the generation of amplified music immediately adjacent to it. In the case of the Crescent Hen, it was determined that it was to the benefit, health, and well-being of the greater community that there be no outside amplified noise allowed at any time. That precedent should also apply to the hamlet of Acton. The restriction was placed on the Crescent Hen even though it would be only 12 times a year. As it stands, the town will be allowing amplified noise 365 days a year, every day. My question to the planning board is this: why is the amenity and quality of life of residents of Alleganville valued more highly than our quality of life here in Akron? My question to the applicants: is your business model so entirely dependent on having outdoor amplified music every day of the year, every day, at the detriment of the immediate community? These are not rhetorical questions. They need to be answered. I think in the discussion, actually, we've highlighted the issue with the code itself, which is it's incremental. You set up +5 decibels, and then the neighbor goes +5. We've talked about this before. Then the next neighbor goes +5, and there's never a cap on the amount of noise that happens with the development. That's why I've been in support of Dorian's idea to do the reading now, so that we get a baseline of what this community is used to and build up the best. I'm also kind of interested in what the penalties are. You know, if we foil what's happened over here and we see a business, you know, going over those limits 20 times a year, what does that mean? What does that mean for the community? And parking. Now, look, the primary issue with parking is the alternate metric, parking metric. And stay with me here. I know I've talked a lot about this, but it's a real deep concern of mine. A lot of professional experience in this sort of facility, having worked as a design director in a hospitality company. The problem is the metric utilized by the applicant resulting in inadequate parking for the scale of the development. No supporting documentation as to why this metric should be utilized has been provided by the applicant. The metric, it's the 1 space per 3 seats, may apply in different circumstances where there exists street parking, public transport, and adjacent municipal lots with safe pedestrian paths. But in Accord, we have none of those supporting permissions. The reason for applying a 1 space per 3 seats metric is that the applicant did not develop plans sufficiently to know the area of the restaurant, bar, cafe use. So in reviewing the plans for the EEOD, town board had insufficient information about the area of spaces and their allocation of uses. They didn't have that in front of them. So they went in good faith with the metric that was supplied by the applicant's engineer. That was over 18 months ago. In order to make a fully informed decision regarding the car parking, the planning board should be presented with schematic plans to evaluate the actual area of these uses. And I'd say that would be customary at this stage of the development. And the code actually requires that. Section 140-46L requires preliminary architectural plans for the proposed buildings or structures indicating typical floor plans, elevations, height, and general designs. Now, what at issue is a glaring discrepancy between the project description and the engineering calculations. The applicant's site plan describes the first floor uses as being restaurant, bar, cafe. The gross floor area there is 4,000 square feet. If you use the metric in the code, that would require 78 parking spots. The applicants are proposing 25. So how do you marry those two things together? The reason for the metric utilized in the code is that it allows for the uses, restaurant and cafe and bar. I mean, the 25 is just based on the seats in the restaurant. It accommodates staff and customer turnover, people waiting at tables or parking briefly to buy a coffee, and all those associated uses. code requirement is based upon gross floor area. And I understand why the applicant doesn't want to do that. That's a lot of car space, right? Another way to evaluate the applicant's proposed parking count is just to reverse engineer what they've actually said they've got, right? So you take those 25 spaces and you multiply that by the 50 square feet per space, right? That would be applying the code in sort of in retrospect to what they're saying. So you end up with 1,250 square feet. Rule of thumb is that your kitchen's 40%, the public areas are 60%. So you end up with 750 square feet for a bar, restaurant, and cafe for 75 people. That's 10 square feet per person before you even dig out a bar in there. It doesn't work. As a design professional, it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And also in this version, what use fills the other 2,700 square feet on the ground floor? So the planning board, this project is actually, this project is, and we've seen it tonight, it's been a case of the disappearing square footage throughout the life of it over the last year and a half. We've seen the gallery reduced again tonight, it was reduced before. We've seen the co-work space reduced again, and so on. But that square footage doesn't end up going anywhere. It's really difficult on the outside to evaluate what's happening in the building, where that square footage is. And that's important because, like I say, the square footage for the restaurant, bar, and cafe doesn't work. So what I think is going to happen is that you're going to approve this as it stands. They're going to end up going to get their building permit, and suddenly the restaurant's going to be twice as large because it has to be. We also don't understand the mechanics of this. We don't understand how people how hotel guests arrive, whether they park in the. Why that's important is that it impacts the square footage on the interior of the building. Is there a reception? Is there concierge? And so on, which would actually be to their benefit because it would use up space without requiring additional square footage. But we also don't understand if the cafe is separate, if the bar is separate. We don't understand if the 75 seats is for the entire operation. If 10 people are standing at the bar, you take 10 seats out of the restaurant because our parking doesn't accommodate for 10 extra people. In fact, it doesn't even accommodate the 75 people that are meant to be in the restaurant. Other issues with the applicant's parking calculations are the residential and employee parking is not counted separately. That only works if you're employees who live in the apartments and work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I don't think that's happening. You can't, double dip. The office space metric in the code is for regular commercial office space, whereas co-work space sits in people at a much higher density. And I've gone through these numbers before. It works at 200 square feet per person. Co-work makes money because the metric is you allow 50 square feet per person. That's a much higher density. Why does parking matter? The net result of inadequate parking associated with this development will be increased traffic congestion within and outside the site, as well as illegal parking on site, towpath and road 27. All this within 100 yards of existing fires. There's no street parking on the streets bordering the property, and the municipal parking lot is not accessed at safe sidewalks or crossings. Once again, the table is there for you to look at and understand. Water supply. It's not a dead issue. I'm really sorry.
No, it's fine. We allow 5 minutes. I've given you 21. So take your time. Just get to where you want to go. Absolutely.
So the problem with this is that the EOD, when the town board, when this was in front of the town board, they didn't provide the documentation. They didn't show all the septic and wells within only 200 feet. So it's up to you guys. It's up to you guys to review it because the information wasn't there when this application went in front of the town board. It also wasn't part of the application that went to the Department of Health. And so the Department of Health may have given their blessing, but they're also giving it on insubstantial evidence. And I've included the table here from the Department of Health. Once again, I've been saying this for a year. The septic tank and leach field at 18 Towpath Road is less than 140 feet from the development swell. The septic tank and leach field at 12 Towpath Road is less than 150 feet from the development swell. You'll see on here that wastewater treatment absorption systems located in coarse gravel, blah, blah, blah. Has to be over 200 feet. So once again, we need to make sure that the people checking this have all the information. And I think that's really, really important. Food and Ag will oversee this. It's the reason why the Ackwood Market does not have a coffee program, why it doesn't serve food, because they weren't able to get a well more than 200 feet away from the septic. So we've been here before. And I've said here, the Board of Health application is only as good as the information supplied by the applicant. And in this case, the site plan is deficient and not in compliance with the town code. Now, inaccuracies in the applicant's documentation. The applicant's site plan lists events as a use, which was not approved under the EOD. And I'll read from the town board's Accord zoning designation petition law, where it says, the application is not requesting consideration of the use of commercial events facility as defined in the town zoning code. The town board does not consider this use having been included in the application, as it has not been specifically included in any petitions or conceptual development plans presented. C, should this applicant desire to hold commercial events as defined in the town zoning code, they'd be required to apply with a zoning permit seeking a determination of use from the code enforcement office. So, events should not be part of this applicant's documentation. It still is. The applicant's site plan lists the coal barn as a gallery space. It's not. It should be called a retail space in order to have the correct parking associated with it. And the site plan does not adequately represent all non-natural resource restrictions. This goes back to my prior point, which is section 140-46B. That's in the town, the requirements. It's actually in the requirements for planning board applications. You're meant to see all that stuff, everything within 200 feet. Thank you very much for your consideration of these issues. The development will have a significant and lasting impact on the hamlet. The buildings on this site are handsome, historically significant. The site deserves a sympathetic and restrained treatment in its proposed reuse. The purpose of my writing is to bring my knowledge and experience to highlight issues that have not yet been addressed by the applicant and the planning board, and to ensure that the interests of everyone in the community are considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Okay, I have nobody else from the public hearing who has signed up. We have not discussed, the public hearing based on what we've received. Is there any other members of the public that would like to touch on potentially something that was missed? Ma'am,
I just want to say quickly that.
your name, please?
Hayden,
Last name?
not the person.
Okay.
I think it would be a good idea if, the process about enforcement, is visited, if not by the planning board, by the town board.
They meet on Thursdays. I strongly suggest that you bring your concerns to the town board regarding anything that is regarding their purview.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so there's no,
Not something that we discuss because we don't have oversight, but the town board dictates that. So I strongly suggest you bring that concern to them.
Great.
Absolutely. Okay, last chance for the public. Anybody else think we've touched on just about everything? Okay. Board, we've heard a lot of similar comments as we did at the last meeting, some new items. Where do we want to go from here? Peter?
I think they've addressed a lot of the issues, made some compromises, so I feel pretty good.
Okay, Emery?
We should, the motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. Sorry?
We can close public hearing, but I would like to hear our consultant opinion.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Cindy?
I think we should close the public hearing. We've got some things to think about, definitely.
Okay, great.
I agree, we should close the public hearing.
All right, so let's make a motion to do that.
I'll make a
Peter?
motion.
I second.
Zach, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, close the public hearing, 8:15 on June 10th. So the next steps is we will talk about this at our next meeting and see where we want to go. We have a lot to digest and take in the homework. Greg, sounds like you and Dave have some homework. Mr. Gordon has some legal work to do, so we will recap on, you will be first on the next agenda, which will be July, hang on. How about July 8th? We'll see you then. Don't be partying too much on July 4th on the weekend. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Okay, we have a long agenda, so for those of you who are not here for the granary, we're gonna keep going, okay? Okay, Dignified Dwellings is next. They called and based on comments that we received on site at our most recent site visit, they have asked to be removed from today's agenda and to be moved to the July agenda. They obviously have some homework to do, as we found on our site visit. So we will table them and see if they bring us a new submittal for review. Okay, next is Heirloom Farm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. The next item on the agenda is Heirloom Farm Planning Board 2024-16. This is Jason Hutchins and Carolyn Hoskins. Planning Board, site plan approval at 2921 Lucas Turnpike. Board, if you remember from the last meeting, we had a deep conversation about Heirloom's proposal. You guys did a great job. Thank you. Patty is not joining us tonight. Okay. Okay, she'll probably come when it's important, right? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so if you remember, we asked at the last meeting to provide us a drawing of what the interior space would look like. Just getting passed out now. Remember, this is an agriculture retail space that is existing at their farm located at Lucas Turnpike. Mr. Church, you provided some comments, some minutia comments. We need to confirm that this is a type 2 action under seeker. Can you take a look into confirming that, type 2?
Yeah, because they're just using the existing building.
It's an existing structure, yes. So type 2, that's good. We need to confirm that the submitted site plan that you guys provided from Patty has all the details needed. I know we talked a little bit about parking spaces and a space count, which you guys provided, which outlined the designated ADA spaces, so thank you for that. We need to confirm that there's no new signage or any outdoor lighting proposed. I believe at the last conversation, we are not proposing any changes to signage or lighting, not even an exterior light.
No.
No, nothing new. Yep, okay. Mr. Gordon is going to review the right-of-way deed that you provided, the easement for accessibility. And then I believe the only outstanding item that I'm showing is to schedule a public hearing for the next meeting. Does anybody else have anything that I missed? Sorry.
I would like, one last item, I'm clear for me, so that road would be able to take two-way traffic? Or it doesn't?
It's a deeded right-of-way
I'm talking
that
about-
grants them access.
Right, but access to the place, is it gonna be two-way or one-way?
I believe it's pre-existing and one-way, correct?
people come now, and, you know,
So basically, just have to wait.
sometimes, yes, yeah.
And on your plan, would be helpful to have like a dimension for exit, but I assume in a standard door, so there's some inches. Something like that.
Yeah, your accesses are ADA compliant.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Doreen, anything else? Okay, Zach?
Nope.
Dave, did I miss anything?
The minutes say you wanted to hear about hours of operation.
Right, so you briefed on hours of operation, but I don't know, have you come up with a final determination?
Well, so Patty had us put down just, you know, but it just, the maximum essentially. We wouldn't have enough.
Right.
During daylight hours.
Just during daylight hours.
Like a dusk to dawn?
Yeah.
7 to 7, what, yeah,
Dawn.
so we need a little bit more, we'll need a, yeah, dawn, thank you. We'll need a little bit more specificity on that.
If you look at the map.
It's on the table, right?
Okay, did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
So hours of operation for retail sales daily from 9 AM to 8 PM or dusk and earlier. 'Cause seasonally, like obviously in the winter, we can't stay open that late because it would be dark.
Sure.
You know, so we would close earlier.
Okay, very great, thank you for that.
Is that?
That table is perfect, yes. I needed you to tell us what your proposal is.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so Dave, I think that satisfies the hours.
Right. Yeah, I think it was just a matter of get it on record, not
Exactly.
debate it.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. We needed for them to, right now, they're only operating, I think, 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So we would need, this is the maximum available hours if utilizing that timeframe. Okay, I'm good with that. Anything, Peter? I think we covered it. Anne Marie and Cindy, we skipped you on purpose because you were away. Anything else? It's okay. Anything else?
You're scheduling public hearing?
That's where we're going right now.
Because it's farm, do they have to have a public
Yes.
hearing? They do?
Absolutely. Site plan approval requires.
Okay.
Anything else on your side? Cindy?
No.
Okay. With that being said.
To set the public hearing.
Okay, Zach, second by Peter, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? See you July 8th. Bring Patty.
Yeah.
Yes.
we'll be back.
Okay, thank you. No, not now, just, you're right. Talk to Jasmine about getting it. They're in there. Mr. Hutchins, we forgot at the first meeting to discuss escrow. This covers all of the legal consulting and public hearing fees. $1,000 to Jasmine before the next meeting.
Okay.
There will be a balance, so we'll provide you that refund once the application is closed, but that's our minimum standard. You're lucky, some people it's 10,000, so, okay. Here we go. 2024-03, BigNet LLC. This is James O'Shea and Bjorn Horn. Thank you. Born, I'll never get it right. I just like the popcorn, okay? A special use permit in a business district at 5164 to an item.
Oh, yeah, I thought about it. You'll take, come on.
So Jamie, we had the elephant in the room, which was the signage.
Yeah.
You went to the ZBA, traveled that avenue, decided to ex-nay that idea.
Yeah.
Reduce the signage to get within our town code.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
All of the other items that were outstanding, it seems like you mitigated, you provided answers to those.
Great.
So do you want to give us the 30-second elevator speeches where we are?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would say, certainly.
Okay.
We brought the signage down to within the existing code, for both tenants. And, the only other additional, material that I submitted since the last meeting was, like fire and parking signage.
Yep.
Which, if that meets your expectations.
I believe Peter did a drive-by.
I did a drive-by, yeah.
Great.
As long as the sign in the back for no standing anytime,
Yep.
you know, no parking, I think that would be fine, because the water supply is in the back of the building, as you know, and getting around that building is.
A challenge. Could be a challenge.
Sure.
Could be, yeah.
Yep, yeah, well, but I, on the map, I had multiple, no parking signs along the back.
So
And then signage to direct our drivers.
I'm good with all that. The signage that's proposed is now within our sign aggregate. So they're going to update their signage accordingly, add the popcorn on the side, the popcorn logo on the side, which is, I think, appreciative.
Is it a lit sign?
No,
No,
yeah,
it's painted, right?
it's gonna be on an acrylic down.
Vinyl or whatever. Okay.
All
right, so,
Question, when you
yes.
said the popcorn on the side, you mean like the giant popped kernel?
No, no.
No, there's no
Hang on.
sign.
Just the logo.
Oh, this,
Just the
oh, so there no giant popped
Okay.
kernel.
We removed the mural.
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was-
So we have not done escrow for you guys. We need an up on escrow, so, do we have any bills that have come in from them
They're $584 right now, I believe.
in arrears? Okay, I need $2,000 for escrow. Drop that off with Jasmine.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing for this? Peter,
Second.
Peter and Anne Marie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? See you in July 8th. You will be early.
The public hearing's already open.
No.
No.
We,
I thought we did that because somebody came in and asked,
Yeah,
they asked about exhaust.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty confident that the public hearing is open, if you can check the records. A gentleman by the name of Elliot came in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Zach's right.
Yeah. And my note as of the last meeting was to leave the public hearing open.
Yeah.
Waiting on the ZBA's response. Okay, that would be the reason why it's not here, because we didn't get a comment from the ZBA because you withdrew. Okay, public hearing's already open, so we will have a decision at the next meeting.
Can we close the public?
Let's close the public.
Sure, good idea.
Can I make a motion to close?
I second.
Okay, hang on, I have Zach. And I have
You can have that one.
Anne Marie.
Yeah.
All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Now you will be first on July's meeting.
Right.
Okay, for a decision.
Oh, sorry.
Sorian, what?
Since I was absent in one of the previous meetings.
Yep.
Just looking at the interior. I just wanna ask you, where is that, rolling door on interior?
It's pre-existing.
No, I know that, but there is no orientation. I guess it's somewhere here.
Let me see, I can't see your screen though.
I know it's homemade.
I can come and look at your computer screen.
Yeah, comment.
And that's not gonna
I
dictate
mean,
the,
it's there.
yeah, it's already pre-existing, so that doesn't matter in this situation.
This one? Oh, this one.
Yep.
Okay. So it's straight here, like the park coming in.
Yes.
Simple.
Okay, Jamie, you're all set. See you in July, you'll be number one.
All right,
And drop a check off with Jasmine.
Yep.
Cover the bills, okay?
got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, PB 2024, you guys want a 5-minute? Now's your chance, yes? 5 minutes. 8:32.
And, somebody replaced the water, the girls will need to replace tomorrow. too. Harry will do it in the morning.
Harry does it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
5
we don't
minutes
have
for a
any-
bathroom break?
Well, is there-
Yeah, there's a container there.
You want me to do your-
I'd like some water.
You should have said.
Oh, no.
Anne Marie, this is a team effort, come on.
I know how to do it. I just didn't want to hurt.
I'll take it off.
I don't want to hurt any of the guys' feelings.
You take the one off.
I don't.
I don't see it in the, Google Drive.
If I find it, I'll say. Yeah.
I got snagged in my office.
More than a snack.
It's in the original application.
Oh,
it's the D.
It's highlighted. It's the highlighted bubble in the.
You know why you didn't say? It's highlighted.
Well,
I knew,
Matt, how are you?
I knew that I read it.
Oh.
Okay. Yep, yep.
It's like the fourth one. It said-
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. No, we were there. So. we just have to- May.
Yeah, Northwest was crazy.
And it was great. That was nice.
Okay, yeah,
I
I was
scared
already
about
gone.
But, yes.
I don't know. Go to picture.
I have a video.
Good picture of myself.
What was that one about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, Matt. So, 2 minutes, buddy, you're up.
Okay, so they just have to.
I'm not that.
Charlie, how you making out over there, all right? All right. Keep an eye on me. Keep an eye on me. No, I'm not coming to the ZBA.
Down in there.
You'll never get research. Based on my. Correct.
So I will.
So take the rice.
So we have a chat list, I'm on the board of Rochester. No, I'm not medical control, we're talking about redoing.
So.
But the answer is gonna be.
No, yeah. And then came back.
Technically,
Like,
They have a large, oddly shaped.
The body's.
A lot of houses.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Okay, we're gonna get back to order here. And we are gonna get back to where we were.
And that is around Rochester, even if they are.
Greg, I'm gonna. Okay. Okay, the next application is 2024-19, a minor subdivision. All right, guys, hang on here. Let's get back to order. I wanna get home. 2024-19, a minor subdivision in AR3 district. The applicant is Will Danford, the representative is Matt Town from Willingham Engineer. Matt, you did the, what application did you do last? Spruce Hill Road, thank you, that's right, you were in front of us to do that. This is at 120 Upper Whitfield Road. The applicant is proposing a 4-lot subdivision with all lots having ample road frontage and the creation of 1 flag lot. Matt, 30-second elevator speech?
Sure, 72.24 acres, AR3 zone. Lots range from 3.02 acres up to 55.65, all larger than minimum.
Yep.
All zoning setbacks are met. There's DEC regulated wetlands on the property. We've had them delineated by the DEC. Surveyor didn't get out there in time to get them on this map, but I am showing essentially where they are. I went a little conservative, but we're keeping everything very far away from the wetlands. There's aquifer protection overlay district in the back. I'm not touching that. All the development is right near the front. It's going to be a basic SWIP because we're anticipating over 1 acre disturbance. Each home is going to have its own individual on-site wastewater disposal and water supply well. That's about it. Each lot will have its own driveways. Lot 3 has an existing home on it with septic system as well.
As usual, thank you for a great submittal. Duly appreciated. We need the neighboring properties to make sure that they're outlined on the across the street. If you could just throw those on your final map, just giving you highlight notes. Wetlands, your delineated will need to be shown. We'll need to see that wetland delineation and have our wetlands study submitted to our guy, Bruce Barber. So we'll get that. Once you have that, you can submit it over to us. Okay, he's done all of our other ones. We'll need 100-foot, 100-foot high watermark outlined on the map from whatever that wetland delineation is. So from the highest watermark, 100 feet from there will have to be the delineated area that we will want to see not disturbed. Is that going to affect your application?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either, but that's going to just something we're going to be looking for as a whole area of, no disturbance.
Right, I mean, that's a 100-foot adjacent area?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I see that all of your proposed housing looks like it's to be up front, so that's good. Wetland SWIP, Bruce Barber. What else do I have here? The flag lot, I'm not really in love with the whole thing, but I guess my question to you is, would you do a conservation subdivision instead? Similar to Spruan Hill or no?
I would have to talk to that about
The
that.
only reason I say is because you're gonna get some density. Can you guys, the side conversation is gonna
Sorry.
drive me nuts because I can't
Sorry
get the
about
minutes. It's okay. The only reason I say about the conservation is I think it might help you because your locations are up front and they're not gonna have any disturbance. A lot of this land is already open fields. Some of it is already open, there's not a whole lot going on in the front. So the potential for maybe dividing those by adding some of those lands in the back to each lot rather than them being smaller. I mean, it's a question for the applicant. It's not a requirement. You're not proposing to damage any anyway. So it's not a pushable item, like we're not pushing to do it, but we'd like to see it. That's sort of in our comprehensive plan. We like the conservation subdivision. You did one on Spruan Hill. You did an outstanding job. If it's an option, we'd like to travel it. If not, we'll move forward without it. Okay,
I'll talk with
sure.
you.
I don't have anything else. So I will start with Anne Marie.
I don't.
Okay.
I just need, I was looking for that.
I'm with you. That's okay. Peter?
Yeah, I just had a question. I think it's part of it is considered farmland of statewide importance.
It is.
Just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, so that farmland, that is where that outline is on the overlay, they're not proposing any destruction of what, it's existing open fields. So they're, whether they farm it now, in the future, whatever the area, it's still in that ag district.
Yeah, but aren't the houses in that area?
Yes, but it's not like they're taking down trees
No, I know, but
to do that.
but they wouldn't really be farmland. That's what
I understand.
And then I think it's also, you addressed the wetlands, but I think it's also a national.
Yeah, I need Bruce Barber all over that.
Yeah, on state and national.
Yeah. Your wetlands are state and nationally regulated, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the state really is gonna take jurisdiction. They're the ones that are gonna require the 100-foot buffer.
Correct, which we do already, so.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Okay, I agree. Dave Church, did you start a submittal on this? If not, okay, I'd like you to do so. Take a peek at it. The next
Lot one you're referring to as a flag?
It's not a flag.
Call it what you want.
Well, it's tight, it's like a very large.
But there's no real other way to have that lot has to be associated to one of them, right? So I'm not against it.
Or you whack it up.
Or you would have to, exactly. So that's the reason why I mentioned the conservation, because if we did the conservation subdivision, we could sort of mini those individual home sites to, and then have the rest as conserved land, on somebody's property.
Right.
So
Well, conservation subdivision just lets you.
he just did that.
It lets the planning board vary the setbacks and
Right.
dimensional
Right.
requirements for conservation purposes.
So,
So if you can play with that, see
yeah,
what you come up with.
if we conserve the rear 50
Sure.
50 acres, would there be potential for more density in front?
Yes, absolutely. So you could maybe do 60 acres or 65 in the back and have a smaller lot sizes up front. That's the purpose of it. It gives you that density bonus, which will help you get more of that cluster goal. So we're not disturbing potential things that we would rather not see disturbed.
Right.
So it's a question of the applicant. There's no,
Sure. Is there a general rule of thumb on how small?
The density
acreage
bonus?
Would go?
I mean, normally it's like 1.5 times. But you
They still gotta meet the separation.
still have to meet the setbacks. So
Sure.
No, you need the well and septic separation.
100-foot separation.
Are non-negotiable,
Right.
right?
you still gotta be 100 feet from your well and septic, but,
And
typically they
neighbors-
say,
and neighbors.
right, and neighbors well and septic. Typically they say, any less than 1.5 acres is pretty tough,
Mhm.
right? So like we've seen on similar conservation subdivisions, the acre 1.5, 1.7 is like the minimum.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that helps you. You gotta check with your applicant. I don't know what his plans are.
But it also takes away a more dense subdivision, also takes away from the rural appeal of
Right.
this area as well. The lot sizes are very.
So take that into consideration. I mean, I'd like to see a couple 2-acre lots. I think that's still really a nice size. with some potential, rear area that was conserved. I don't know. You take a look at it, see what fits, see what you like, and see what the applicant wants to do. If the answer is yes, we're gonna see 60+ acres of conservation here, which would be really nice. Without that, we might have to rearrange some lot sizes and move some things around to get it to fit and do things like that. But let's see what you come back with, okay? Cindy, is there anything else? Zach, anything? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, maps not gonna be in color, black and white, right?
Yeah, black and white.
We can distinguish the wetland. Looking
I
here,
put some hatching on.
looking on Hudson Valley. Doesn't appear that wetland is here, but at the same time, the part of this is like a check done, which sounds like a consultant. drawing.
So he's already done a wetland study, and he's gonna submit it to us for Bruce Barber.
This is delineated.
So it's not on this one yet?
Oh, that's generally where it is. We had a surveyor go out and field locate,
So it's yet to
but this is pretty much where it is.
there is a core forest on part of.
Oh, I forgot
major
that.
part right here, so it needs to be identified as well.
Okay, yeah, that looks like it's enough for your portion.
And, typical, we have a 100 feet radius shown on the plan from a well over septic field.
Okay, you want me, yeah?
Yeah, because.
I mean, these are all, yeah.
Most of the plans showing.
Okay.
And, it almost a availability of potential availability of the water, the aspect of that, or even
Say it again?
availability, potential availability of the water. Is there water there? Do we know? Or we just leave it in?
That's a requirement, it's not within our purview. We need to get it, that'll be a condition of approval for available well and subject.
So that was just one other question that the client wanted me to run by,
Yeah.
because it's a non-realty subdivision.
Yep.
Technically, according to New York State law, I believe we don't need to get health department approval prior to filing the maps, but a lot of times we do.
Yeah, so we want them.
Yeah, okay. That's
Absolutely.
kind of what I figured.
Yep.
On the bright side, the permits are good for 2 years.
Yep.
Yep, Peter, just on lot 4, is that all wooded area where the house site is gonna be clear
Yeah, there's woods near the front.
with a field in the back, right?
Yeah, it gets a little steeper back there. The flat part is wood.
But that's all.
That's outside of the quarter.
Right. So you're proposing that you're gonna disturb some of that area, but the flat part is where you're gonna be putting the house.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that and see what the conservation goes, because we might move that up front. In the land that's already disturbed, that's.
You're saying move the house?
I'm on lot
Away
3, is
from
that,
the road?
I'm on lot 3, are you?
Oh, we're
4.
looking at
Oh, I'm
4.
sorry, no, 4, I'm fine. Yep.
Yeah,
that
there's
is-
a field,
That was my question.
there's a field in the back.
Yeah.
And woods in the front. Correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can put the septics on, we can put the septic system in the cleared area.
Have you done any perk tests or no?
Haven't done any yet.
Okay. I'd like to see what those come back with, whether they're above ground and partials. Where you are.
Yeah, we want to make sure we get the lot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about the lot layout. I'm not concerned about it. I think that you're maximizing the minimal amount of potential, which is great. Because we don't want to see a house that's 1,500 feet back in the middle of a core forest. So regardless of if it's conservation or not, you've already done a pretty good job, which we expected. So, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna also have Greg, peek at any, do you have any, steep slopes that you're gonna be concerned about, like on the Spring Hill project?
Definitely not.
Okay. All right, so Greg, we're gonna put you in the back burner for this one for now, and we'll see what his submittal is back on the conservation.
Okay.
I might need work on the conservation if we go that route.
Okay.
I need escrow, 2,500. Dropped off to Jasmine. What else? You're good? Everybody else good? Okay. Great job.
Oh,
Yep.
good.
Oh,
There is a scale, never mind.
Oh.
There, I found my scale.
all right, you're good.
There wasn't a scale, shame on me.
You didn't say it.
Thanks, Matt.
Why doesn't that?
No, yeah, putting them on.
I always put a revision number down here.
But there is nothing there.
Well, this is the first.
Hasn't been revised.
No.
All right, Matt, you're all set. Thanks. Okay. 2024-20, a minor subdivision in an R2 district at 304 Stony Hill Road, which is Peter Sutherland, representative is Bill Eggers. Bill, you are proposing a 3-lot subdivision which includes frontage on the Stony Hill and it has an existing dwelling. Is that correct?
That's correct. 3 acres total.
Yep. You want to give us the 30-second elevator speech?
It's on Stony Hill Road. And the property runs from Stony Hill Road all the way back to the Stony Hill.
Yep.
There's an existing house on the large parcel, it's maybe 37 acres. There's one house would be back there, certainly close to the Stony Hill that's existing. Proposing to create 3-lot subdivision, a small lot of 3 acres out to the left side, big lot in the middle, and then a 10-acre parcel on the right side. Have a reverse flag lot.
Thank you.
In that it's wider out the front and then they have this long leg going back.
They just want access to the Stony Hill.
Access to the.
Okay. So
We don't show yet the building sites, but it's fairly evident where they're gonna be. Lot 3 is gonna be out in that square portion out in front where the acreage is, and lot 2 also right about where it says lot 2. It's gonna be right in there.
okay, so a couple comments for you, Bill, with your pen. We'll need those house sites outlined, septics and wells. Give us the radius of the well and septic.
Yeah. We haven't even started.
Yep.
Doing actual placement yet.
Board of Health approval obviously will be a condition like normal.
Are you gonna require that under 10 also? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, on all of them.
Well, you have pre-existing and then you're just doing 2 new ones, right? You have 1 pre-existing, so 2 new lots.
Yeah.
So yes, please on that. Or a feasibility study would be fine.
Okay, that was my question.
If Barry wants to write one, I'm fine with it.
Okay, very good, thank you. We'll do one for sure on the 3. On 5.
I agree, yes. So the other thing that I had is the wetlands and the stream that's in the back where the reverse flag is. I need some sort of a marker from the high water mark, some sort of a something for, you know, I see you have top of bank, but is that topography?
No, that's really was just something that the property owner was looking for his planning purposes.
So
in
he
there.
wants to be on the other side of the top of bank, is that the goal?
He wanted to know where that top of the bank.
Okay.
was, the division line.
I mean, I need a 100-foot marker at the top of the high water somewhere.
But that's not a named stream.
It's the Stony Hill.
No,
What do you mean, no?
Stony Hill's all the way in the back.
So this is not a tributary of the Stony Hill?
It's a little feeder to it, yeah.
So
but
it
how-
runs into the Stony Hill?
Yeah, but how, it's, I mean, like, that he's saying that, the Stony Hill's the feeder to the Hudson River, so therefore we have to have all the regulations that refer to the Hudson.
No, but any named stream,
But it's not a name stream. The name stream is the Stony Hill.
any named stream, like the Stony Hill,
Right.
has tributaries associated with it.
I don't totally disagree with you.
You don't, but you don't disagree that there are tributaries?
Yeah, but it's not the stream.
Okay.
It's a tributary.
Okay.
It's different animal. If we did it for every little trickle that came down, every property would be completely run through with all these 100-foot offsets.
Does it have a name?
No, this little stream is not having a name.
Well, I guess my question is the water's coming from somewhere and going into the Stony Hill, right? Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm considering that a tributary, regardless of what you call it, it's water that's flowing in around.
Right. Under your regulations, 100 feet from a name.
So if we have a wetlands area that doesn't have a name, we still take 100 feet from the wetlands? Okay, so we need a wetland study to see if it's gonna be a wetland area. Which I didn't wanna do, I'm trying to say, if we could put on the map, 100 feet buffer from both sides of the unnamed stream, I think everybody's happy. I am,
Is there a DEC class?
no.
I'm not clear what it is. It is a Stony Hill.
The Stony Hill is in the back of the property, all the way on the back. This property in this reverse flag lot has a water course that runs into it. I didn't want to be a hard ass. I was just trying to be, you know, we do it on every other map. Let's put the high water mark. That's all.
Yeah, but the high water mark.
I'm fine with that. Are you okay with the high water mark
The high water mark of
of the stream?
the little drainage
Yes.
thing that comes through here?
Yes. What do you think, Bill?
Well, for one thing, we're talking about an area of property that's not even gonna be developed at all. It's not like we're gonna have a house within that area.
Okay.
Septic or anything, anywhere close to that stream.
Okay, so then how about we do this? I got a better idea. Bring us the plan that shows where the houses are, then we can avoid that.
Yeah.
At the next submittal.
But it doesn't show where the stream ends. Kind of
It ends into it just runs out. It meanders, could be eventually ending into the Stony Hill.
Well, Bill, it's intermittent.
Yeah.
It's unmapped by DEC.
Is that?
I was just saying, trying to be nice and not do a wetland study, that's all.
It's just difficult to map.
I know, I understand. And we might not need it. Let's have Bill put the houses and the septics and wherever we are, make sure we're 100 feet from all possible negatives.
Right.
And we'll be fine.
Okay,
You're good with that?
yes.
Is there any plan to do anything back there? Is it just?
No, it's just so they can walk down the stream.
No
You
roads
want-
or trails?
They want that access, which makes sense. I agree. Okay, otherwise, do you feel that you're gonna need a SWIP? Do you be over an acre, Bill?
Probably between the two of them and the driveway septics and everything, probably be a little over that.
All right, so let's get a SWIP on, bring us your table of proposed destruction, and then if we're over that acre, we're gonna need a SWIP. House sites, driveways, for forest.
I'll have to check on that. I think it's on the other, is it on this side or is it on the other side?
Yeah, it's towards the, towards the.
Just check on the map and see if it needs to be added in.
We did, what's her name, Barry, just down this way here.
Yep.
It was on
On the other side, right, I remember that. And this is like in behind Barry,
Yeah, stuff out.
right? Let's see what you propose, and do you have any steep slopes or any action there, or is it pretty flat?
There's, you can see there's some somewhat steep slope on lot 2 coming in off of Stony Hill Road.
Okay, so we'll just need Greg to look at that elevation of your driveway plan,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
that meets the grade or not. So Greg will send that when he gets it coming.
Going off of that, the driveway for lot 2, is there any interest in doing a shared apron for lot 1 and 2 to avoid another curb cut there?
That's a
Because
great point.
Stony Hill is a rock road, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of driveways.
Yeah, they already have one
With
for,
all these driveways in this general
Right.
area, it's steep, so.
the one adjacent to it is a driveway going straight down in, the next one
Right.
from that is a driveway going, and then we got this one. and over
I would
here.
like to
Yeah.
see a shared driveway or a shared apron between lot 1 and 2,
And 3 on
and,
its own.
and 3, because the driveway for.
No, 3 needs to be on its own. The neighbor, we don't have dictation over that
Okay.
neighbor.
So then
Yeah.
lot 1 and 2, I would like to see a shared apron. and a
So
shared-
shared apron, maybe Bill reconfigure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
front lot to
Yeah.
bow that out a little more.
Something there.
Yep.
On the stone wall.
Yeah, maybe you just make that lot line on that stone wall there in the
Mhm.
front and shave it off the back a little.
Yeah.
Make it a true reverse flag. Okay.
Go home by boat.
Anything else? See you in July, Bill? How's that?
Okay.
Okay?
Good. Thank
We
you.
can set the public hearing then if we see where those house sites are and get that feasibility study.
All right.
Oh, I had a question.
Oh, I need escrow, Bill, just $1,000.
Okay.
Just a curiosity question on this is, there was half the property is ID'd as a New York National Heritage Program. Do you know what the specifics are of that?
It might be in a forestry program.
Okay.
That could be a forestry program.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that one, Bill?
No,
Just take a peek at that. It was in the overlay. I saw that too.
Yeah.
natural heritage.
Yep.
Yep.
And if, regardless of what it is, just label that location.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is, Planning Board 2024-21, a minor subdivision on Deer Haven Road for Glad Kabarada Incorporated, which is Alex Potts and Andrew Didio at Tectonic Engineering. He called me 3 times today and we spoke, but I don't know where he is. I don't know where he is floating. If not, this could be a record timer. Andrew? Once, twice. Okay,
You're done.
next item on the agenda. You guys are all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Kind of.
So he's not sleeping in the parking?
I don't know. He is driving 3 hours away, had an Airbnb, had the whole thing all figured out, and I told him to be here by 8 o'clock. So, we will no-show him, and we'll see him in July. Other matters, did we have the ability to review the the May 13th meeting minutes that Jasmine sent out? Okay, motion to approve
I'd
those?
like to make a motion to approve the May 13, 2024 meeting minutes.
Thank you. Second? By Cindy and Dorian, sorry.
I look
All-
like Cindy.
No, I thought I heard Cindy and Dorian over there at the same time. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Annual training hours, we're still working on those. Zorian mentioned to me earlier today, yesterday, Friday maybe, about how the planning board likes to see the planning board folder have its documents. In the past, we have had the secretary or the submittal was broken out and every item out of the submittal was labeled what it was. Most recently, which, like it or not, we have seen them all being loaded into one document with the date, so you could see everything that was submitted. Zorian's request is to do it how it was done, which is to break every single item out. I personally don't have an opinion, but I think that there's a benefit for both ways, because when you're going to find something, you look for the title, you know what you're looking for, such as a DD. Or sometimes it's good to see what they have submitted on this most recent submittal so that you're not looking at old information. It's not more work, it's just different work. The secretary answers to the supervisor on the day-to-day duties, but the planning board chair dictates how those duties are carried out. I don't have a preference. You tell me what you guys want. No, you cannot. I'm sorry. Zorian, yes, absolutely.
So my point is that in a month or two, you're
Yep.
looking for certain
Yep,
documents.
I'm with you.
Rather than see through browsing all those files together.
Correct.
You see the file, you see the date, you see the time.
I'm not disagreeing.
That's my-
So do you think that it would be best, and hear me out here. Do you think it would be best to get the submittal, all one package, wait for the meeting to happen, then after the meeting, break them out, and then wait for the new submittal?
I would discipline applicants, submit everything separate.
That doesn't happen. We get one big conglomerate, sometimes they bring it in on a USB drive because it's so big.
Then that submittal gonna consider during the meeting because it is split.
I know. Like I said, there's
Before
no,
the meeting.
I don't have a preference. I just, in my opinion, I like to see, here's what they submitted. Now I can
Yeah,
look
but
at just
it's-
those
but it's-
items.
but it's momentary. Then you start.
Right, so then in a month later,
One file looks like this. another file
exactly, a
looks
month
like-
later, I'm looking for something that was in that file. So how about we agree that when a new submittal comes in front of us, it comes in one conglomerate, so we can focus on those items. After that meeting is over, Jasmine will go back and break those items out with a label and a date, because they're items that we've already reviewed. Does that help?
But at the same time, when you come to the meeting, during discussion, you don't have to sift through the big submittal, you could look particular.
Right, but we have normally went in order, like with the granary, we went page 1, page 2, page 3 of their submittal.
Yeah, but sometimes they're attaching submittal, like,
I know.
they're attaching submittal.
That's the negative,
They're
right.
attaching submittal from consultant.
I know.
You need to see it right there, rather than scrolling through the file. That's-
Maybe you have,
I like to look at the whole thing.
have
This
some
is-
standard fold, some fold.
We do that on the big applications, public hearing, lighting, maps.
Consultant comment.
Yeah, we do that.
Applicant submissions are all in one folder.
Exactly.
Cause you.
I don't want to do that on all of them though.
Correct. I
Right.
mean,
On the big
so,
ones we do.
I don't know, that subdivision last two you just got, it's 4 files,
Yeah,
right?
right, decent.
What's the big deal?
Right.
But
I just like on a big one like the granary, I would have a new submittal on lighting every time, a new submittal on parking every time, a new submittal on the site plan every time. You know, there's 25, they walk in with a packet,
There's 64 pages.
64 pages, it's a lot to break down.
Yeah,
But when you
It was
break-
loaded
the
the way
other
it was
challenge
in
is
the
you gotta
house.
figure out the earlier versions.
Compared to what's
You
changed.
gotta get rid of those at some point.
Well, we can't,
We can't, we keep
Right.
them all.
we can't get rid of anything.
But that's why
I'm
you
just
can
saying,
also
but
sort by
it's
date.
hard to.
That's what I do, so I sort by date, and that's why I like to see, okay, what's their most recent submittal? Bang, I start with that and then go off my notes.
Well, I'm not saying physically
Sure.
destroy them. I'm saying
Archive them,
are
Move them into a.
move them to
Already
the side for the purpose of that's old
old
information.
max,
You could,
I can make an already reviewed folder. and
that might be
put stuff
better,
into
already
there.
reviewed or previously discussed. Yeah,
Sometimes you need to go back.
but you gotta go back and look at a deed like I did tonight.
Right, but it would be within their folder
It'll be in there.
in there.
Yeah, you gotta.
the dates work for me.
The dates were
Who
great,
puts the
Everything's
dates
like-
on?
I love the dates.
Even you guys are starting to use my 1970 stuff. I love it.
Yeah, I was thinking that you say, well, you need to have.
Hang on, here's the conversation.
You need to have the last version. You can't just, if the deed comes in the beginning, you can't just put it into an archive and then everything else is there. No, I gotta,
We need them.
the current deed, the current proposal or the current site plan has to be the more, you gotta see the current one of each document that's there.
Right.
Don't archive it immediately.
Right.
If there's no replacement.
Agreed. Okay,
So
you good with that?
But I'm good working right now.
So what we're gonna, how about we do this, before the next meeting, we will start archiving old submittals into a folder in that conversation, and then having updates as we do.
It's not, it doesn't do. It
I know.
doesn't have any benefits. The benefit is you have a file there is a date, there is title. You don't have to write them together, you just, they there, each of them have a title. But when you get it, organize them.
Okay, so board, what do you want? You want everything in one lump sum, or
I
do you want
don't care. I'm happy with whatever we get.
it? Okay,
Date system works for me.
the date system works.
Start at the bottom and I've worked.
Me
with
too.
most current.
I'm good at adapting to whatever. so.
Exactly.
And just keep maps separate and label it a map.
I
Like,
tried to,
you
if
had
it's
it-
sent to me separately, I can't do it if they didn't send it to me separately unless they print out.
Then you're gonna have
full
to, then you're gonna have to
unnecessary
email them and say, send the sketch plan separately.
Yeah, it helps out. so
That, that
much.
might be what we'll have to do. It
Cause
just-
that's the only reason everything's lumped
Right,
together.
the
because
response
they
is just gonna
send the
be,
whole-
your response to them is gonna just say, this is not an adequate submittal, we need the sketch plan to be submitted separately, and the rest of it.
Yeah, that would definitely happen. That
Whatever
would definitely-
8 by
Can we
11.
tweak checklist to reflect that?
Sure,
Nice.
good call.
Cause I send that.
Make
when
a
I
note, we'll
send
do that
them.
this week. We'll add it to the other 960.
Okay, so now you had a young man just walk. in.
Yes, are you, Andrew? Is your watch battery dead?
No.
What happened to 8 o'clock? Okay, traffic? Come on, we'll be quick.
Remember when I finished, training, not a training, a workshop.
Yes,
Workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Just escape.
No, you didn't. Okay, here we go.
Have you been waiting long?
Yes.
Yeah,
Really?
we were
Yes.
done.
So 2024-21, yeah, you read 5 minutes and we were out the door, you've been here by yourself. A minor subdivision on Deer Haven Road for Glad Haba Radov Incorporated.
Please don't.
This is Andrew Didio with Taxonic Engineering. Andrew, you're proposing a 2-lot subdivision on Deer Haven Road.
Correct.
Elephant in the room.
Yes.
Deer Haven Road does not have a road maintenance agreement.
Okay.
Do you know that?
No.
Okay, it's a private road, not one considered by the town. In order for any lands to be subdivided on this road, we need a road maintenance agreement signed by all owners. Applicants in the past have come to us for Deer Haven Road for a subdivision.
This property to be exact.
This property to be exact.
Really?
We have not received a road maintenance agreement, which is why everything has died.
Gotcha.
So I want to hear your submittal,
Sure.
but we can't move forward unfortunately until I have my attorney review that road maintenance agreement, which nobody can seem to find.
Is that a part of your zoning code or is that?
Subdivision code.
It's part of the subdivision?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need an accurate and valid road maintenance agreement for all private roads. and one that is signed by all current or previous owners.
Gotcha. Okay.
So obviously, this owner would already have signed it, and then they would sign it again because they would now have two lots.
Yeah.
It would be in existence. Okay, hit it.
Gotcha. So it's a 17.6 acre parcel.
Okay.
And they're looking to do just a 2 lot subdivision.
Yep.
So the owners are intending to keep this. They'd like to subdivide off exactly 5 acres for potential friends, family to purchase it and have kind of an upstate home.
Sure. So notes for you. You want to grab a pen?
I can remember.
Okay, great. So we'll need to see what that septic layout, where that septic is going to be proposed.
Yep, that's in there.
Okay.
You have that in your packet.
Yep.
And it's part of the drawings I have here today.
Okay.
So we've already submitted to the Department of Health and
Okay.
received approval for the main house.
Above ground or in the ground?
Both in the ground.
Okay,
Great
great.
soils there. Yep. In the grounds, septic is approved here. We recently submitted for the lower portion because this was ultimately going to be kind of a main house, guest house
Sure.
scenario, but now they're looking to subdivide it off. So yes, this is approved and we can provide that to the board as needed.
Yep, that'll be a
And then
conditional approval.
once this is submitted through, it's been submitted, but once we get the final sign off.
Okay. So we like to see the circle around the well and the septic to make sure you're 100 feet apart from each other.
That's all.
The future home site, the future driveway will need a driveway permit from the highway department as to what that will look like since it's on a private road. Peter.
Yeah, why would you need a driveway permit? It's on a private road.
The highway superintendent is responsible for ensuring the private road was built to specifications of a town road, even though that the town has not taken over the private road. So those specs of how that road is built has to be built to town specs. It might not ever be taken over, but the private road or the subdivision of the application could be granted to the town, town wanted the road. They're never gonna take it, but they need to make sure that it's up to standards. If it's not up to standards, now you have a private road that is not meeting or exceeding town standards, does not make it a subdivided lot.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
Peter?
No, I just had concern about the grade, having been on that road, concern about the grade.
Uh-huh.
With the septic, you said you got approval.
Yep.
The grade meaning like the slope?
Yeah, so, because it seems very
Yeah,
rocky to
there's
me.
this parcel in particular, and you can kind of see it, there's a bit of a saddle
Yep.
right here. So it falls off in this direction, falls off in that direction, falls off in this direction. And again, this is the proposed owner's lot. This is a very flat area. It kind of undulates and then planes out.
Okay.
This is a beautiful septic
If
spot.
you got in the ground septic, that's gonna be good for
Exactly.
slopes.
Yeah, and then same thing down here, it flows out, there's a beautiful little shelf.
So if this gets approved, we would have a condition of approval that Board of Health has an in-ground septic.
Yeah.
Which sounds like we're good. Anne Marie?
No, I'm good.
Cindy? Zach?
Does your driveway for the 12 acre lot, where does Deer Haven Road?
17 acre lot?
Yeah.
No.
Deer Haven Road runs all the way along that.
So does your driveway come in at one point and then come out again on Deer Haven Road? So it looks like.
No, this is kind of a potential secondary like guest house location
Oh,
or something.
But you're not gonna have another curb cut.
Correct.
Great. Okay.
That's why, and that well, if it's an ADU, is gonna supply for that. The
That's
house as
correct.
well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna run the septic from the ADU all the way to that septic? that you're putting?
Yeah, the approval is for those two to combine to a dosing chamber and then dose down.
Great. Zorian?
Yeah, look at the question, why is it well so far from the house?
Why is the well so far from the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? That's their problem.
Yeah.
As long as it's 100 feet, I don't care. Maybe that's where the dowser had the little thing where the thing went this way.
Course
Most
orders,
people do.
25 court orders and top.
I had my will.
Me too.
Court,
Core Forest. So
Forest.
on Ulster County Parcel Viewer, which is where we get a lot of our information from, like the DEC, they outline some overlays. Could be aquifer protection overlay, core forest is one of those overlays, prime and important farmlands, hydric soils. So jump on Ulster County Parcel Viewer, light every one of those things up and make sure all of those are on there. We want to see them.
Are there restrictions to core forest area? or-
Depending on how much destruction you're doing, less than 1 acre, we would require, more than 1 acre would require a SWIP. Doesn't seem like you're gonna be that far.
we're gonna identify those elevations and slopes soon, because there are no numbers,
Right, so we'll need to see on the survey,
On the survey.
yeah, your topography grades.
Okay, need to add specific address of the lot, code.
We won't get an address until it's subdivided, so the.
That'll be part of the driveway permit.
911.
That's okay.
Add lot number to lot one, because you're saying, lot something and there is.
Yeah, so you need to outline, you have proposed lot 2, we need to just see that on the sketch plan that it says lot 1.
Lot one.
Also, in the bottom right-hand corner, you have the minor subdivision 4, we'll need to see the address, the owner's names, a, sketch plan, site plan, whatever you're gonna list there.
You'll get a letter.
She's gonna-
You're good.
She's gonna write you a post.
You'll get a letter, don't worry.
And, last.
Oh, we're not even halfway done, no, I'm just kidding.
Have to get the road maintenance.
Yeah.
That's all the rest
That sounds-
That's the toughest.
And I didn't know the condition of the roads, I just put, the driveway, what is the side view?
Yeah.
Because the corners there, but.
Right.
Right now,
They're just sight lines on where those are, but you got bigger issues to get before we get there. So that's sort of the outline of what the board provides. If you move forward, we're gonna wanna see a $1,500 escrow, which would be from the applicant, provided to the town of Rochester. You could drop it off with Jasmine or mail it. So before you get on another agenda, Jasmine's gonna give you this. Escrow to the town of Rochester, road maintenance agreement. He will review it, provide notes before you get on the next agenda. If you are granted the next agenda, we're gonna wanna see all those things we just talked about, which she's gonna give you a post-meeting letter.
Now, when you say, all of those things on the Ulster County website.
Parcel viewer, yep,
Parcel viewer, are those appearing on the engineered plans or the subdivision plan?
subdivision plans.
Okay, so that's gonna get pretty muddy,
Oh, yeah,
we know that.
absolutely. It'll be 2 pages probably. You'll do 1 page with your overview. Your second page will probably be your septics, your home layouts, your driveway grades. Maybe the third page would be anything else if you need a third page. Most engineers get it done in 2 pages.
Okay.
It's a lot,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's a separate, so we're the engineering firm, there's a separate surveyor.
Yep, the surveyor would provide all that.
Got it.
See you hopefully in July. The cutoff, if you want to be on the July agenda, will be June 24th, which is 2 weeks from today. If you miss that, you'll be on August.
Okay.
See you one of those months.
Thank you, sorry.
You're welcome. No problem.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, we've completed all other outstanding items except the workshop meeting. Motion to cancel the workshop meeting as I don't have anything pending for large projects.
I make a motion to cancel.
Zorian and Zach, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Wait, any opposed? Any abstentions?
No.
Zorian,
Question about training, can you remind us please how many hours we have and how much left?
Want me to send you how many you have done?
yep, send a good, it's middle of the year, that's a great idea. Send an update on how many hours everybody has. We still know that we're gonna get another training paid for it once we have a workshop meeting, which should hopefully satisfy all of our training for the rest of the year, but we'll get to that when we get there. Motion to adjourn, someone. Second by, a motion by Zach, I have a second by Cindy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? The record is 9:13. Nobody gets a meeting done faster than this.
Hey.
Nobody.
No, Maren was pretty good again.
She was good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's.
Except I got home at 1 in the morning one night. And I went, "That's-
Well, yeah, it's nice. She would say,
You
you
seconded
have
the
7 minutes to
Yes.
speak and poop. And
That's it.
that was
Moving on. As they say in the bar scene, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How original. You are just. Question for you.
Questions are fine. We'll get one free on
So,
Monday.
someone at Medical Control bought a piece of land.
Okay.
And they knocked the headstones down.
Oh.
They took them out.
Where?
Go
ahead.
It's formerly owned by Bush, so it's going up, it's past.
Yeah,
It's
I
on
know.
that little weird thing in the back there, cause, so yeah, they're gone. So my neighbors over here can tell you that too.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Code enforcement.
Yeah, no, it's beyond that.
Go to them to start.
Remains.
Go to them first.
And all the tombstones back there remain. They're not big like, I don't want them. No,
Yeah.
Or we know that we still Australia.
They came in and they put the county sold them.
They're gone. There's nothing about cemetery.
So here's one for you. I bought a house. Native American.
We didn't get,
Has a head
we didn't
stone.
know what they
Yeah.
were doing.
1878, 1878.
Over there, I drive by, I would have died. That.
Cemetery.
What I did is I threw it out.
Where the F are the kids?
They're gone.
No, I'm not going to sign for it.
Oh, no, that would be boring. Too boring.
No, I am not going to.
So the more you say, send me where it is. I said it over here, and she's like, good. She was the group. Yeah.
How many hours do you think? What's the, where was the?
6, 7, 8. So you're coming up Medicom to go over the Mills of Road. You start coming up the old Medicom and the road turns.
Oh, I.
Is the driveway next down and up? Yep. Right, so it used to be owned by the David Waters. How do I know? Because he has usually takes some of the dirt off my property. And I'm like, yeah, sure. We weren't even. It went, I need to get it back. But anyway, so, yeah, I am. There's like, on the top of it, and then there's seating around the water that's down there, yeah. Right, if you take that driveway up and it goes down and it dips and it turns, there was about maybe 15 hectares. My thing is that I mentioned it to somebody and they said, okay, well, I didn't get it.
Alina, you need me? Alina, you need me? Need me?
Mark, I wanted to tell you, the DEC filing system, because we deal with multiple submissions, and I'm allowed that.
Same as us.
I think, you know, but anyway, I think they can say, oh, but I'm not voting, I just.
I'm actually supposed to have you.
Well, no, maybe it's.
I don't care what it is, but I'll do what I want.
No, but I just.
That's perfect, thank you.
Because that's the only way.
But you're correct, it has to be by the date, which is what we do.
Yeah, no, I don't.
We just want them broken down.
I just want to be that's the, especially when you're dealing with projects that span 10 years.
Yeah, multiple
The
submissions.
only way, and not that ours do, but that's the only way the DEC keeps having our maps.
Sorry, no, here's good. My back here.
Yeah. I just wanted, I'm in agreement.
Sorry, leave it.
All right, I'm not ready, but thank you. What you want, yeah.
I've never had you home past 10:30. There comes the chair of the board. We're here till midnight, 1 in the morning. It'd be like 11. We're just not coming. 10 o'clock, we're already shut off, right, Zorian?
Unless we have Soul City.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, how? What?
Soul City.
Oh,
We'll stay late.
I'll be here till 2 in the morning.
We'll
Soul City is the shit. Come on, Bill.
Gotta talk to you about what we've seen on Melissa's desk.
What?
Gotta talk to you about what you've seen on Melissa's desk.
Another day. Thank you, sir. That was a good meeting.